We got it. Yep. I'll turn it off.
It's fancy.
David at 61, you need a teacher.
You just didn't want to break it.
Man, it's hot in here. Where's the air?
Everybody but me keeps saying it's hot.
Hey, Mr. Vince. There you go. Bring it on to
But I keep doing too many things at the same time. Better odds of getting animals out.
Yesterday, Saturday, I was at the minor Methodist. Yeah, and you had left, and I left before you got back.
Oh, man. If I left, I went to go get pizza.
Right, that was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, he been sick. He's been in bad health for a couple of years. He really got really sick a couple of Sundays ago. Hey, I'm fine. Good to see you. I'm ready for it to fall. But 10 grandchildren and 20 great grandchildren.
Man, it was hot today.
He's almost done with you. How many grandchildren you got?
Work got his jaw.
14. No great. I'll hold it there. 5, 6 o'clock. Everybody ready? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Horn Lake Board of Aldermen. As everybody always says, good government depends on the citizens being involved. And we certainly thank you for coming out on this election day and hope everyone had a chance to exercise their American right to vote. At this time, I'd like to call Alderman Johnson for our invocation.
Let us bow. Heavenly Father, we come tonight to say thank you. Lord God, thank you for the many blessings that you've allowed us to have. Lord, I ask that you just grant us what we need, Lord Jesus. So many times there are many things that we want, Lord God, but you give us what we need. So bless each person here. Bless each household that's represented in your name. Lord God, as we tick down on the final time for our candidates who've been out, all of them have worked so hard, Lord God. Give them comfort, give them peace, Lord God, and give them a time of rest. Bless each representative here on tonight. Help us to make wise decisions, Lord. Help us to think about our community and about our citizens. Bless our world, Lord. There's so many who are hurting right now. Give them strength. Lord, we thank you for all things. These things I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand and join the pledge of allegiance led by Alderman David Young.
And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir, and thank all of y'all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Here.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Here.
Alderman Geis.
Here.
Alderman Bostic.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Dupree.
Here.
Alderman Young.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. We're officially in business. Before we get rolling, because I know a lot of y'all, after you speak, will probably want to get out of this hot room. I want to thank everybody who worked so hard on the spectacular. It was, I don't know how many people came out, but it was really a great event. Had a lot of fun. I want to appreciate everyone coming out. And as you know, November the 11th is Veterans Day, and we're having our Veterans Day breakfast at Landers Center in the morning at 8:30. If you're a veteran or a family member of a veteran, it's completely free. And Lieutenant Colonel Beebe, you know how he pronounces it?
Yeah.
Beebe is going to be our speaker. Congressman Kelly Wood, he got called back to Washington, and thank goodness Lieutenant Colonel is going to step up there. All right. I want to thank everybody who has worked so hard on this Veterans Breakfast, not just this year, but for all the years in the past. How many years is this now? 9 or 8?
11.
11. 11.
Well, you can lay it.
She could have gone along with me.
You must have slept through 2 of them.
But Miss AJ, Miss Julie, Mr. Jim, so many, fire department, the police department, work
Public
department.
Works,
Ma'am,
Public Works.
I said that, public works, yes. See what I contend with? Yeah. Have worked hard to make this a really, really special occasion to salute and thank our veterans and their families. So please join us. There was a tremendous program at the library Friday night. Ms. Gilbert and all the staff at the library put together a tremendous Veterans Day program down there. Mrs. Height, is it Height?
Yes, Height.
She's the one that does the Veterans Forever Young. And they do the honor flights to Europe, to Washington, some to Pearl Harbor. A tremendous program, and thank you and your staff for a wonderful program and a wonderful salute to our veterans. All right. Number one, vote on the municipal docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis,
I make a motion to approve the municipal docket.
do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. We have a second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein,
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe, Alderman Guy,
Aye.
Alderman Bostic,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Dupree,
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Number 2 on your agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Bostic.
make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through Q.
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 Q. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I
Yeah, I
beg your
said Q,
pardon.
yeah.
We have a motion by Alderman Bostic. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Klein. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young,
Aye.
Alderman Dupree,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Bostic,
Aye.
Alderman Guy,
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe,
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye. Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right. Moving along. Next on the agenda is the claims docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to approve the claims docket, general fund, $978,059.27. The library fund, $1,234.71. The economic development fund, $44,588.33. The utility fund, $230,126.48, for a total docket of $1,254,008.79.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Johnson. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein,
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe,
Aye.
Alderman Guy,
Aye.
Alderman Bostic,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Dupree,
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right, moving on down to number 4, special gifts and presentations. Letter A, Ms. Wingfield.
Oh, I'm up.
You're up.
Hey,
Just in time.
hi, Ms. Nina.
Hello, hello. Well, I was asked to come to talk tonight about building an animal shelter and what you need to see and think about when you are building an animal shelter. I had the wonderful opportunity to lead Collierville in building of their addition to their animal shelter in 2016. And I just wanted to hand out, and you have to excuse, I only made 10. I didn't know how many. If you want to pass that out, it's just some points that you might want to think about because I know, hallelujah, Corn Lake's going to have an animal shelter, a nice animal shelter that they can be proud of. But there are some typos in there. I had my 2-year-old grandson, wanting to do some things this afternoon, and so bear with me there. But some of the things, why do municipalities have animal control and an animal shelter? Number one, public safety. Number two, enforcing city and state laws, animal laws, animal control. And animal control got into, in about 20, 30 years ago, got into more adoptions, spay neuter, and transporting animals instead of just euthanizing them after a period of time, which we're all so happy that happened. But also their job responsibility, municipalities, is dangerous animals and housing strays that come in. So some of the things that you think about when you're building an animal shelter is the size of your city and the growth projection. How big is your animal shelter need to be for the growth of the city? City budget, this is my big thing. City budget is what you can pay your staff, your animal shelter staff. The smaller teams, if you don't budget for a big team, then you have that overtime that you're going to have to think about, because animals aren't 9 to 5. And animal control officers go out and pick up animals that the police call about, or injured animals. And so you have to think about your budget. Here's where the typo is. Don't overbuild and don't underbuild. And how do you make that right decision? Is when you're building your animal shelter, think about the growth of the city and your budget for your team that's going to be there, and that will help guide you. Programs to help reduce the number of animals that come into the animal shelter. I do want to go back to the size of the shelter. If you build a huge shelter, you build it, they will come. So, just be careful when you're building the shelter, and make sure that you're not overbuilding for the size of your staff's budget. Programs that can help reduce the number of animals. I love that you're going to have a surgery center, because surgery centers to perform spay and neuters for your animals will really help lower your cost of veterinarian care. And also they can help guide the team in the city on animals that need to be euthanized for health or potentially dangerous animals. Spaying and neutering of all your shelter pets, that's so wonderful, because if you're releasing animals that haven't been spayed or neutered, then you're releasing potential more puppies and kittens that come into your shelter. Providing a low-cost program, spay-neuter program for low-income families, helped Collierville reduce the number of animals that have come into the shelter. We were actually able to start helping surrounding counties with their puppies and kittens because we didn't have any. Humane education to increase community pet owner responsibility. If you have too many animals to care for and a small staff, they cannot go out and humane educate the community. So think about that, because pet owner responsibility, if you're teaching your community how to be better pet owners, then they're helping you with your animal shelter's needs. And then work with transport rescue groups. So do you have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Ms. Nina?
I'm always here. Horn Lake has always had a soft spot in my heart, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think Glenn's doing a bang-up job. I've volunteered for the shelter at Horn Lake. So we've helped the SPCA of Memphis, which I'm the president of, has helped him financially too. we've helped spay and neuter some of the cats at Horn Lake, and we will continue to be a financial help when he needs us.
You've gone out of your way to help us for several years. And every one of us listening, I certainly appreciate all your hard work and your advice. We certainly do. But getting back to the, size of the staff, you know, we have to have insurance for each one of our staff.
Exactly.
And we have to pay that astronomical PERS, which now is gonna be, what, 22.4%, Ms. AJ?
It's going to 19.4 this coming year, and then 2% the following year, and then 1%. So 5% over the next 3 years.
So we would like, I'm sure by the board, we wish we had a bunch of folks, but just with the insurance and with the PERS, we have to cut it kind of close. That's why we really appreciate you and all your volunteers and everybody that wants to volunteer. We encourage you to do it. And does anybody know how we stand on the Mississippi State spay and neuter bus? Have they started that back yet?
No, they haven't. They stopped running the bus when COVID hit.
Right.
And, which is unfortunate, but the school still, the bus is not operable, but the school is still coming, and I think Glenn just had a spay neuter event, didn't he?
What the?
Yeah. Oh, Glenn.
What?
His head was I was praising you. I didn't even see you there.
Well, at least I know you meant it.
Spade and neuter.
Hey, the Mississippi State sends up personnel to do that?
No, you have to actually get to them in order to get it done. So we were trying to just figure out the workflow for that, how we could utilize that as free spay and neuter.
So they don't charge us anything?
No, it's a student of veterinarians, and so they're practicing. They're literally crafting their trade by spaying and neutering at, for no cost.
So is there a limit on how many we can take down there at a time?
The only limitation that we would have is our resources and our ability to get them there.
That's a wonderful program.
It is.
It's a wonderful program.
Well, and then the Pet Wellness Center with Cindy Dewey is providing. She's only doing cats right now. I think that's where you're doing all your cats, right, Glenn?
That is correct.
And that is an unbelievable low fee. You do have to think about when you're transporting. I'm not sure how far is Starksville.
It's about 3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hours.
When you're driving, you're paying your staff to go. The animals, the recovery time for the animals, and it's a long trip for the animals. But it is nice when you have larger dogs. Maybe that might be a more expensive surgery.
Right.
But Pet Wellness Center, Cindy Dewey, is starting to think about doing a dog program, which will be wonderful for Horn Lake.
So essentially, if we take dogs down to Mississippi State, we need to plan on people staying overnight. Because some will be operated on late in the afternoon, they'll need recovery time.
Well, I don't know if the school allows the animals to stay overnight.
They don't. They would have to leave the same day. And so we thought about utilizing that program for community engagement. So that is how we would create a program to offer low-cost spay and neuter by it not being shelter pets, by it being pets that belong to the community. And this way, we can kind of limit them coming into the shelter, and we can kind of put a good grasp on the litters that are being born, kind of putting a stipend on the puppies and the kittens. This is how we want to utilize that program. We wouldn't be able to use it for our own shelter animals because of the length of time it takes to get there and get back and everything that would be needed. But if we can get the community, if they want to get their animals spayed and neutered, we could possibly charge them $25 or so. And then the spay and neuter is free, but that will pay for the gas and anything else that any cost that we inherit from transporting. And when they get back, the people who own these animals can be there to meet them and pick their own animals up.
Basically, you're the bus. You're taking and picking up and bringing bringing back.
He's a wellspring of new ideas all the time.
Mayor, I have a question.
Alderman Guy.
On your spay and neuter program in Collierville, are veterinarians volunteering to come there and do that surgery, or are they being paid?
They're being paid. We have veterinarians on contract. We pay them $500 a day, and they do,
Whatever
they
you
can
have.
do
Yeah.
30 spay and neuters a day. Some of them can do even more, that's where we utilize the low cost, we don't charge anything. For low income families, we don't charge anything. And we found by doing that, we were getting these multiple puppies, litters of puppies and kittens in from our low income families. And by starting a free spay neuter for families that are on financial assistance, we were able to reduce the number of puppies and kittens that were brought in.
Substantially.
Substantially. One year, PetSmart had a rescue wagon for puppy adoption where you gathered up puppies. We literally had to recruit puppies from other counties because we had no puppies to participate in the program. So it does, the rewards of having a program, and if you have your vets that are on contract in your shelter and you have the surgery center there, it's very, very cost effective. They do your own. They can help with animals that may need to be euthanized because of illness or medical problems or aggression, and then that pays for itself too. And let me just tell you, when it's time to euthanize a pet, I think the worst thing to do is load that pet up and take it to the vet. If they're ill, it's traumatizing. So it's so much more humane to do it in-house, with the veterinarian. I understand, we euthanize. We have euthanasia technicians that euthanize. And it's a team decision on the euthanasias.
So in other words, those people are not vets, they're members of the staff.
We, in Tennessee, our people, our staff, can be certified euthanasia techs. But sometimes we decide on the euthanasias when we have a vet come in once a week for a full day. And that's where we work under their drugs. They have the drug license and we work under their drug license. But you can't euthanize. Only a veterinarian can euthanize in Mississippi, so, they would help, they would do the euthanasias, and they would do that based on what Glenn's staff or the Mayor and Board of Aldermen would decide on the animals' dispositions.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Alderman Young.
A few things. I asked Ms. Nina to come in here tonight. It's not a secret that I think we're spending too much money on animal shelter. I did a little research on it, and I just think that it's not the fact that I don't want a new shelter. I just think we're spending too much on a palace, and we're not spending enough on our animals, on their future, on what we need to be doing, what we need to be looking at. Madison, which is, I'm sure everybody would understand, is one of the richest communities in the state. Their shelter is $3.1 million. That's what they just did. 50 animals. They have staff of 7 plus a director. How many we got on staff? 4. Winston County has just spent $2.4 million redoing theirs. They got 47 animals, staff 7, including their director and volunteers. Harrison County and Gulfport, $3.8 million. They've got 50 animals, staff of 6 plus volunteers. And you heard what Collierville did. But to go a little further, they added 4,000 square feet. And that cost $596,000 and some change, and it doubled their size. $6 million is gonna cost this city almost $14 million over the term of this, of all this. City of Horn Lake from 2022 until now has spent $173,783.21 that we'll never get back. That's coming out of our general fund. We really need to trim this shelter down to where it is manageable, because Mr. Glenn has 4 now. All these others that have 50 animals, which is the number I was looking at in that area, are 3 million. So Mr. Bledsoe, at $6 million, we'd not only have the nicest one in DeSoto County, we'd have the nicest one in the whole state. It's a little bit too much money. We need to be around the $3 million, $3.5 million for the size of our city. Madison's twice our size. Twice. And they got twice the finances. So it's just something, and that's what I was trying to do. Ms. Mina was nice enough to do that. We're spending way too much money. The city can't afford it. And it's $13,208 payback on that bond whenever we get it, because we hadn't got the bond yet.
No, sir.
So we don't have the money to be spending on this. So right now is the time. I'm still to the, I've tried for the last 3 weeks. Has it been, Mr. Jim, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, to try to get an itemized, detailed of what we've spent over almost $200,000 on. And the only thing I'm getting is blowback. Well, I don't know what you want. If I go to McDonald's and I look at their deal, when I pick up my hamburger, guess what I get? An itemized receipt. If this guy can't produce an itemized receipt in a couple of weeks, by the time our next meeting comes, I will call to fire his butt again. This has dragged on long enough. I don't think he has our best interest at it in all. I don't think he has ours in it at all. I think the only thing, we didn't get anything until he found out how much we was going to put into an animal shelter. Then he got, all of a sudden he got giddy and jitty and giggly. So it's time to us to make as they say across the world, it's time to cut it. It's time to cut it. Y'all know what I'm saying. So.
I don't want to mislead. We added to our shelter in 2016.
Right, but still, it was $300,000 in 16.
Yes.
So let's look at it. Chief, I'm gonna pick on you for a second. Everybody's been, has any alderman here not been to Station 3, Fire Station 3? We spent a little over $3 million building that. Okay, that was a little while back, just like she said. If we took and cut the sleeping bays and the offices off and just used the engine bays and the truck bays and put offices in there, surely that could hold how many dogs, would you think? 50, 60 dogs? And we would have about a $4 million shelter with soft costs. We have got to look at the future of this city. We don't know what, our revenue is going down, 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 down. And I don't know when it's going to come back up. Hopefully in 2 years. But we can't gamble on that. We can't put the city in that kind of financial position, in my way of thinking. That's not what I was elected for. Thank you, sir.
Sir, anyone have anything?
Tipton County is also building a new shelter.
I beg your pardon?
Tipton County
Yes, sir.
is also building a new shelter. And I think it's 1.6.
6 million.
Yeah, 6 million.
And how big is that?
I don't know. She didn't get back with me
42
about-
animals, I believe, is what Stacy told me it's 42.
But I know they're not downsizing what they have now, and she can house about 50 to 60 dogs in their old shelter.
Yeah. So there you go. It can be done.
But I'm here. You all know how to get in touch with me if you need any more help. Glenn definitely knows how to reach me, and once again, will be helping Glenn. So glad he took this job.
Me too.
Glad.
Awesome.
We're happy.
Yeah.
We're like you too.
Yep.
He was dressed like a fox at Halloween.
Oh.
You talking about Broadway?
Yeah, Broadway. We call him Broadway.
The fox's name is Fonzie. by the
Fonzie?
way. It's Fonzie. Fonzie Fox.
Hey.
Fonzie Fox.
Fonzie Fox, and he'll be the new shelter mascot. I was sitting here trying to post something from our last event, but I'm having some kind of technical difficulties. But on our Facebook page, you'll keep seeing little reels of Fonzie the Fox hanging out at the
That's
shelter. He
awesome.
had his little volunteer shirt on during the event, so it was really adorable.
Well, I do want to say that I haven't talked to Glenn yet about this, but he will be my guest. I'm doing a new show with Conji Anthony. She's a new lifestyle person, and I have a wonderful opportunity on Wednesdays to highlight animal shelters and rescue groups, and Horn Lake will be one of those shelters that we highlight.
Thank you.
So, but don't come in costume.
Fonzie's not invited.
Just to clear things up, what Alderman Young is talking about is sales tax revenue. Because that's what's predicted for the whole country, is to go down. In fact, I saw where Target is canceling building a new store in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Between sales going down and unfortunately the crime up there.
And we know.
Sales tax, and whenever you read Walmart executive office, people do not have the discretionary income they used to have because it takes so much for the essential gas and food. And anybody have any questions?
Well, I do. One thing that you can provide your budget if you do rabies tags for City of Horn Lake and make all pet owners, residents of Horn Lake, buy a tag that does help put money in your budget. You know, just, $10 rabies tag, and that way you know when that animal comes in with the tag, you know who it belongs to, in case they're not microchipped. But that can help provide money in your budget to do rabies tags.
That's in those ordinances that
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Nick.
before you leave, I want to ask Mr. Glenn, do you think Alderman Young brought up maybe bringing this up again in the next meeting or the meeting after that? How many dogs and cats do you think we normally have? If you could provide that for us, because I know we get a lot of strays. We've always gotten strays in Horn Lake. I'm sure Mr. Bill Brown can tell you that. Years ago, you might not have been born yet, but years ago, somebody came through and threw out poison meat and found 50-something dead dogs just in Horn Lake because of the number of stray dogs.
Well, in my short time here with us, I feel that we do get a lot of stray dogs that come in. But we have no historical data to go back on to look at what the shelter needed to do to move those animals out. We have no idea how fostering programs will impact the population that's currently being held in the shelter. We have no idea what marketing will do for an animal year over year because, again, there's no historical data. So our hands are really tied at this point, and right now we're doing things so that we can actually build stats and provide those and work intelligently off of that information. So it would be really premature for me to say that a shelter that holds 60 animals would suffice. It's looking like that could be possible, that 60 dogs being held there at any one time could be what we need. But that is including the marketing, the fostering, the events, all the work that needs to be done that requires staff and it requires supplies and it requires services that we hadn't been administering. And once we get those services, we don't know how much that's going to cost year over year because, again, we don't have any historical data to support that information. I just urge the council, the mayor, all the citizens to think about the fact that Horn Lake is growing, and there are a lot of strays out there. And the more people that come, the more people that come to Horn Lake, it'll be more strays. We are neighboring all different cities in Mississippi, in DeSoto County, and in Memphis. And so these animals are coming in, and we have no idea what that impact is going to be. So we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're not prepared or able to take in that flow. I think that whatever decision that we make, we have to keep that in mind. Because if we don't have what we need, then we will be forced to take in animals that we can't hold, which will force our hands and we will have to euthanize. There will be no way around that.
Excuse me.
And that's not something that we want. We are very proud of being a no-kill municipal or low-kill municipal shelter. I do want to keep it that way. So again, that's why I think it's very important that we just kind of think about our future and what that looks like. You know, unfortunately, we have to kind of guesstimate it, but that's just where we're at.
Excuse me just a moment.
I'm gonna run.
I wanna see.
My grandson is out in the car. I'm sure my husband's about ready.
Thank you. I'm gonna text you from this phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Good luck.
I need
Thank
a
you.
We got time out.
I think we can give Mayor.
while we're on
Mayor
time.
some.
Gotta go see Mr. Jacob Daniels.
Here you go.
That's not nice.
So we're getting there.
I asked Jackie.
Excuse me for that little coughing spell, Mr. Glenn.
Oh, no problem, sir.
Mr. Ronzeski, if I pronounce that correctly,
He's not here.
he's not here. Well, the next one is Mr. Zach Kemp, and I told him he probably didn't need to be here till about 7 o'clock. Y'all wanna go on down, not wait up, well, he will just fit him in when he gets here. Is
Absolutely.
that all right with the board?
Yep.
Planning, do you have anything for planning?
No, sir.
All right.
You do a
Well,
good,
that's not a good
Chad.
sign.
You do a good,
That's
yeah.
not, that's not a good sign.
I told him keep it short and action night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're on number 6, new business. All right, a resolution for cleaning private property. This is a public hearing. I declare it now open.
That'll wake you up.
We have a list here of properties that owners have not maintained. The city will go in there, straighten those up. Do we have anybody here to speak yea or nay on any of these properties?
Got a short list.
They're on the screen. Anybody? All right.
There's some
Mayor.
people out in the hall.
Oh, hey, Miss Boston.
Hi, there's people in the hall, can I read the addresses, cause they can't hear you?
They would know if they're here for that.
Are any of y'all here for a resolution to claim private property? It's a couple of addresses. Okay, I'm gonna be the interpreter tonight.
Thank you.
T-shirt.
Thank you, Miss Boston.
Thank you,
All
Mrs.
right.
Boston.
Thank you, Ms. Boston. There being no comments, public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman
I
Boston.
make a motion to approve the resolution for cleaning private property of the addresses listed on the screen.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Boston. The second was Alderman Dupree. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Guy.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right, letter B, discussion regarding the 2024 rodeo. Alderman Young.
I would like to, go ahead and, schedule the 2024 rodeo. I'd like to make the motion that we do that, do it in the same place at, Latimer Lakes Park. We cleared, what was it, Mr. Jim, about 31 something, we brought in 32,000 or something on the thing, whatever it was.
Yes, that was right.
There you go.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, minus the expenses, so, yeah, it did quite well.
I'd like to go ahead and make the motion, go ahead and schedule it with the committee, get with them. If you still want to be on whoever wants to be on the committee, I don't care, come on. Let's just get busy and try to get a jump on it, so maybe we can make a little bit more money this year.
I second.
This will be with the Department of Agriculture and Commerce.
So just like it was last year, be with Deep South Rodeo again. Like I said, we'll get with the committee, we'll meet with them and select a date, and bring it back to the board, let the board know what the date is that we want to do it. Probably somewhere around September again, the end of September. Seemed to be really good. I haven't heard a negative word from anybody about it.
Ms. Johnson was very appropriately attired.
She was.
I'm way out there.
I was
Kind of
I was
girl
like,
out there.
wow, look at her.
I thought she was there for the mutton buster, but she told me
No,
no.
you did not. No, you did not.
And you, Mayor, you was awful. You surprised me 2 nights in a row because you told me you was leaving and you ended up staying for the whole thing.
It was great. I still hadn't got over the Longhorns.
That was amazing.
Mr. Bledsoe and Mr. Dupree absolutely helped tremendously in pulling that thing together. They really did. And I think we can do it again and make it even better.
Yeah, and we got to thank the county too, because they came down and
Oh,
broke
the
up all
county came
the.
down, absolutely. Thank God for they helped us out.
Well, we learned something real quick. Ask for help if you need it.
Yeah.
And they come in there with that big tractor, cause our little tractor wouldn't get it up. But they had the big claw on there and they broke that thing up quick. Or we'd still be there.
Alderman Johnson.
I have some questions about the rodeo. Are there any clearly defined roles? It was not my understanding that it was our doing. I've known we were more hands-on with the event, then I would have been more hands-on. So do we have any clearly defined roles? I know this was our first time out. So how are we gonna do things
If
differently?
you want to get on the committee, come on.
Okay, committee, okay.
Come on. You're right.
No, I just wanna know
Yeah.
exactly
We
what's what.
just set a committee and we just decided
Okay.
and I'll be glad to share you all the information. We just have a sheet that we just go by that, just bullet points, if you would, of what we gotta, just a button list of what we gotta
Okay,
select and it's gotta get done. And
okay.
you'll have a certain 2 or 3 things that you'll
Yeah.
do and we'll all just get out there and
Yeah.
just start doing it.
So I know I could see that you all were clearly working. So, I was just wondering, am I missing out on, did I,
Not missing
so
nothing. Come
that was my thing.
Come
Okay.
on.
Well,
Glad to have you.
and I suggest that Drew be on the board
Well, come on.
because since we're having it in the park and
Yeah, they
he
will.
might be benefiting from this.
So whose name is on the event? Is it City of Horn
City of
Lake?
Horn Lake, the parks.
The park, okay.
Yep. Cowboy up for the park, City of Horn Lake. Yep. That's whose name's on.
Sir.
I was gonna say that the contract we had with Mid-South Rodeo has a breakdown of what their requirements are and what ours were, so we can get that out to
Yes.
show, the separation of duties
Okay.
and what we were required to do.
I just wanna know if there's a part that I was supposed to play and I didn't wanna miss out on doing my
Well,
share.
it wasn't a mutton buster, but you clearly
No, it
wasn't gonna
was
do
not.
that, so.
Maybe it was ticket taking or something.
We have a motion by Alderman Young. Do we have a second? All right, you wanna get the second, then we really legally discuss it.
Second.
Second by Alderman Dupree. Any discussion? Alderman Bledsoe.
Well, the one thing, it was trial and error this year. We've done it before. Everybody's been to a rodeo. I've seen one. So it's a little different when you try to put one on and then you worry about, I was worried about getting enough money to pay for that rascal. So it come out good when we had a bunch of moon pies and cupcakes and all kind of stuff. And his wife, they worked tremendously. And it was good. And I was surprised. We had people from not just Horn Lake, we had people from all over. And we might have to get a bigger parking spot because the whole park was full. And I really enjoyed it. It was good. And I had to sleep for 2 days afterwards, but it was
It was really a good family event.
Yeah.
Really.
We had, and it was so diverse. I was so amazed about the diversity that was there. I mean, we had Muslims, Chinese, we had everybody. The Horn Lake was there. The whole city, I mean, it was amazing.
We have any more discussion? Alderman Guys.
We invested amount of money into that. Did we recoup that back and make the 30-something thousand on top of
A
it?
total of 32,000.
So over that. So it was a.
No. We made 32.
So
we paid the amount we had it and we cleared the difference.
Okay.
That went to the
So
park.
it's still a profit.
We're still a profit. First time out of the gate.
Almost
yeah.
$4,000 profit.
Yeah, right at that.
Okay.
But most of it was done for sponsorships.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I
all
mean,
we-
that was good.
Y'all really hustled. to get the sponsors.
Well, a lot of people stepped up and they're already stepping up, and we'll leave it at that right now, but they're already calling.
Alderman Klein.
It's almost one of those events, even if we broke even, just a wonderful thing to provide
For the
for the
citizens.
citizens
That's
in
right.
Horn Lake. But Drew, I'm gonna ask you, was there much damage to the park?
No, sir, there was no damage at all.
Awesome.
We've already, tilled up the area and planted ryegrass on it.
Okay, great.
What about corn?
Sorry.
What about corn?
A little late.
It's well fertilized, I know that.
Green, real green grass.
Do we have any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right. Letter C, discussion of the 2024 Horn Lake Library funding. I know at the last meeting, there was some concerns about providing all the millage, the meal that was in the budget for the library. And you can see we've got some library folks here that'll be glad to answer any questions. I know Alderman Bostic brought up a few things. One, like who selects the books? And did you wanna ask any questions, Alderman?
No, I mean, if you want me to start, I can do
Yeah,
that.
if you wanna start, yeah, please.
Sure. First off, I wanted to thank everybody for being here and thank for the library staff. I think I know a lot of you back there in the back there. And word got out that, you know, we're trying to not support the library, and that was, if you listen to the meeting, the very first thing that I said in the meeting is that I support the library program. That was the very first thing. For somebody to say that we're not gonna fund the library is crazy. That's not what, it's been funded for years. You know, there's, things that are laid on my heart that I'm convicted of that somebody may not agree with, you know, and, I'm willing to be the one man out if that's what it takes to be the one man out. It's a crazy culture, like I said, that we're living in right now. There's so much greed and hate in this world and in this country that it's sad that we are living through these times right now. It's very important to me as a father and a grandfather to make sure that I do my responsibility in raising my kids and my grandkids. And when I have questions about whether I can take my grandkids to the public library because I'm afraid of a book that they might pick up that I haven't discussed with them, that's not for all children. Maybe some parents think it is, but I'm a parent that's not. A picture book, and when you look it up in Wikipedia, it's a book containing many illustrations, especially used for children. When we have books in the accelerated reader program for babies up to 8 years old that they're not aware of, that they might pick up and say, "Mommy, what is this? Am I supposed to stand up or sit down?" If you know where I'm going. There's a scripture I read this week that talks about, blessed is the man with the quiver full. I didn't know when I married Miss Bostic in 1984 that I was going to have 3 sons, but God did, and they were all fearfully and wonderfully made in her womb, and they were my responsibility. And in the meanwhile, I've had 8 grandkids and numerous foster kids. And I pray for each member of this board because it is a blessing to have a quiver full. But not only the quiver of biologically, I looked at that scripture again, and I was a coach for 12 years. I was an umpire for 15 years. And each one of y'all can look back in the past, be it a public servant as a police officer, bus driver, park director, over many programs, teacher. I met Miss Johnson in 2008, and I only knew her as Miss Johnson because I went to the intermediate school, and within 2 weeks' time, I had 1,500 kids that I was responsible for because I was part of that staff. And Miss Johnson came to me and said, I got to take off a day or two. Could you cover my class? You know what an honor that was? I didn't know her. She didn't know me. I've got a list of books here. And like I said, it may not touch you, but it touches me. And I'm willing to stand alone on it for myself. And not that I don't want to support the library at all. There's great things that go on at the library. There always has been and there always will be. But when we choose books that are on accelerated reader program for a reading level for a third grader that says, you know, Sam is my sister, Jack, not Jackie, Sparkle Boy. If y'all would like to have a copy of this list, you're welcome to it. Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope. These are picture books. These are reading levels for some of them from 0 years old all the way up to 8 years old. I can't take my grandson to the library anymore without watching what he's going to pick up because he's not going to learn this in my house. And however you vote to fund this, if you want to make sure that the funds go to Horns Lake Library and pay for just the salaries and not the books, whatever you want to do, I can't. My vote is to stand alone if I have to, because it's time that we put our foot down in this society that we live in and try to instill in our children that we are all made in God's image.
I know this may be out of the ordinary, and I have to ask our attorney, could I ask for comments from the audience, or do we have to?
Well, you know, you may want to make sure that no one else on the board has any questions first, and maybe the library staff, after that, the response. So we'll be okay.
Is that all right with everybody on the board? Is there anybody on the board that wishes to say something? Alderman Guy.
I just have one question for the library staff. As far as if I'm a parent and I'm concerned what my child has checked out at the library, can I go up there and get a listing of what my child's checked out at the library or reviewed online?
We have a policy, I think maybe most of you have seen, it's not a policy, it's a state law actually that prohibits and says specifically that library materials checked out on a record, and it doesn't say age. It just says library materials checked out on a record are to be held confidential unless we have a subpoena that says that, or unless the card holder gives permission for that. So we have spent the last several months working toward getting parents' names added to children's records so that we will be in a position to do that.
Yes.
But until that law changes, I am bound by law, as is my staff, to adhere to that.
Yes,
And we may be seeing some changes coming from the state legislature this coming year. We're actually often anticipating that. And certainly whatever our state legislator passes and says we need to do, we will be 100% in compliance.
Yes, ma'am. I've read that particular law, and it seems to me that the intent was probably to prevent law enforcement or someone, as a police officer, I shouldn't be able to go up there and get somebody's records without probable cause and a court order. But I would think as a parent, especially in today's environment where parents are getting charged criminally for actions of their kids. Say I have a child at home I've noticed some drawings and stuff that makes me concerned about active shooters or whatever, and I want to go and find out. And the fact that you can't help us, and me as a parent, where I can still be held responsible, I have an issue with. And the issue, of course, isn't with you guys. You guys are following the law,
right?
Or your legal counsel's interpretation of the law. But, you know, that's my only issue, you know, to me, it doesn't matter if I think a book is inappropriate or not. Another parent may think it is appropriate. And as a government official, I don't think that decision should be made by me, what your kids should be able to see. But the parental consent and knowledge is the issue I have, so.
You know, I think that that's just such a, I mean, I think anybody would agree with that. I think that's a very common sense thing to say. As a parent, I know I want to know what my children are reading.
Yes, ma'am.
And so because of that, we, in fact, several libraries in the state of Mississippi, it's not just us, have gone through the process, and we actually put an expiration date on all of our children's cards in the library system so that they would expire and they would not be able to be used until that parent's name was added to that record. And that went into effect, the final deadline on that was actually October 1st of 2020. So we're happy to be able to do that. I anticipate there may be more language and more laws coming from the state. And as I say to you, you know, whatever the state does, we will absolutely abide by.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good
Can
question.
I ask you a question?
Well, let the board go first,
Okay,
please.
I didn't know
Ms.
if we were
Boswell.
open yet.
Alderman Johnson.
I have a comment and a question. As a school librarian, there are laws that we have to be held liable for too in the school. You know, I can't tell a child you cannot get that book, even though I do have a little more reign on what I can order within the school, but I can't tell a kid, you can't get that book, you know.
Right.
So there are things that we have to abide by as well. I do want to know if you all have an advisory committee or what kind of committee does the ordering, or do you talk about those things? How does that work?
Well, the ordering, I became director July 1st of 2021. Okay. When I started becoming director, the selection at that time was done by 2 people in the system for all the libraries. As I mentioned to you before, that is not the way that I think selection should be done, okay? I think selection should be done in the library for its community, by the library staff. And so that is how we are doing that, and have been for, you know, almost 2 years now. Ms. Gilbert here and her youth services staff select the books for the Horn Lake Public Library, okay? So, and I know that there was a time when that was different. I did hear some comments that were made at your last meeting that, quite frankly, surprised me because I had already, I think, clarified that at your September 19th meeting about how we do selection. It is absolutely done in each branch by the library staff members.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Young.
Mr. Bostic and myself, I'm sorry, Mr. Bledsoe and myself. I don't know why. I
You
said
get
that.
confused too.
I get confused. It's a gray hair thing.
Brother, me and you.
Okay, that guy. We were fortunate enough to go down to the library and, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a much better understanding of what y'all do and how you do it. There's a lot that goes into that. And yes, state statute says you can't, but that doesn't include ebooks or CDs.
That does not include, we cannot, by law, check out electronic resources like ebooks to anyone under the age of 18. That is a new law that went into effect July 1st in our state, and we are in full compliance.
And that also goes to CDs.
That also DVDs. Actually.
DVDs, because
DVDs cannot be.
they're rated on the same, if I'm wrong, tell me, but they're rated on the same scale as movies are.
Right.
You know, PG-13, whatever, okay? So the state statute is there and they're following it. And what really amazed me, and you don't know what you don't know, okay? Y'all do over 300 requests a month for books to come into Horn Lake from other areas.
Absolutely.
And not only do you do it from your library, but you do it from Mississippi State University, University of Women, the W, Tom Bigby. I mean, the list, Columbus, Lowndes County. I mean, what I'm getting at, and y'all are welcome to look at this list. If you really want to know what that library is doing down there, I suggest you get with that lady or those ladies in the back.
Absolutely.
And go down there on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday and take that tour and let them put you a packet together and look at the way they do things and how they do it, it pretty much, I mean, blew me away. 1.874 million is what First Regional, that's their budget. The budget down here at Horn Lake, we put how much into it, Mr. Jim? 1 mil?
Yes.
Their budget down there is $333,185 at this library down here. I got a list of stuff, I don't know if y'all looked at it online, from the library of all the stuff that they got. It's just a calendar of how much stuff they're doing. I don't know how y'all sleep. So I would, I agree with Mr. Bostic. I mean, I do understand that there are some things that need to be looked at, but I'm not willing to go into the library business. I trust these ladies, and they're doing a great job, and you already heard they're changing some things. So, I mean, we said we'd fund these folks. No. And we need to fund them.
I know I sent Ms. Carson an email several times. I asked, when do they sleep? Because there's one program right after
another.
And now y'all involved with the Toys for Tots. The Marines get toys for Christmas.
We have an incredibly amazing staff at this library. They plan the most innovative and fun and educational programs, especially for you, all ages, but especially for you.
Especially in the summertime.
We're so fortunate to have them, so fortunate to have them.
Keeps our kids occupied during the summertime.
Absolutely.
Alderman Bledsoe.
One thing, I don't know how long it's gonna take to change the law, so y'all are working on that. If they go to 18 years old up, I mean, they go to, I guess, a liquor store or stuff like that, they should have their mind made up what they're gonna do by 18 years old, because you can go to the Army, I guess. I'm with Jackie on those books shouldn't even be in the library, and if they want to check them out, they need to be 18 years old, and maybe y'all can get the law changed to be that, because I'd be very, very upset if one of my boy, he's 40 now, if he brought a book home and it had all that stuff in it, because I don't believe in it. I'm a Christian. Jackie don't believe in it. 90% of this board, or 100% of this board don't believe in it. So I think the law needs to be changed. The law is going the wrong way about these things. You got a lot of people that they took the Bible out of schools one time, and you see what happened to the schools in Memphis and different places. But we need to get back to looking at God and running everything we do for God.
Anybody else on the board? Alderman Young.
One thing that I meant to say is just real quick to Mr. Billy and Mr. Brown, you certainly are talents in this world. We got to be real careful how we tread here. We're talking First Amendment. And the last thing I want to come back to this table right here is another mosque issue. Do I like it? No, I don't like the fact that those books are in there. Can we do something? We can't do anything. We're not in a library business. We can trust these ladies to do the right thing. And as bad as I hate to say this, it's God's honest truth that the Quran wants to go into that library. The Quran has the right to be in that library. I don't agree with it. But that's has nothing to do with what's in that library. We can't challenge the First Amendment because there are folks that are watching what's happening, I'm telling you.
You know, the thing about it is, if the board is gracious enough to fully fund the library this year, if those laws weren't enacted or there were problems, budget comes around next year. So this is not like you're committing yourself for 100 years.
Right.
These ladies work awful hard, and just like every one of you pointed out, they said they have to operate in the law. They have to operate in the law. We have to operate in the law. Before we ask anybody in the audience, Alderman Klein.
Well, I just, we can do something about it, just as she was saying, that, you know, we can talk to our state senators and our state representatives and push the agenda that will get the parents more involved. But, I mean, that can start right with every one of us right here, just get on the phone and call them. And hey, as many, organizations that I've been involved, I've found that, hey, all you gotta do is ask. And 9 times out of 10, they're willing to step up.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Bostic.
I just wanted to, in my opinion, it's not about funding the library. I just had to tell you where my heart, my conviction was, okay? But something that Mr. Young said, Alderman Young said, that we're not in the library business. Not only are we in the library business, the county is in the library business, and every city in this county is in the library business. Because without our $2.5 million they get from all of this, they wouldn't be able to operate. So it is up to the municipalities and the county to provide that money for them to be able to operate. Now, whether we want to get in the business of ordering books and things of that nature, no. I'm not wanting to get into a First Amendment deal either. But when I pull up books like this that says Sexting Panic, and I didn't want to go here, and I pull up books by Laura Scherer that says sexting and how to do it off the First Regional Library, I got a problem. This isn't First Amendment. You just said right there that they ordered the books in the library. I'm sure you can get with your staff and say, we don't need these. And I think the rest of them would agree with it, and that's not infringing a First Amendment right. That's using the money that municipalities give you to order those books, and we should have some kind of say-so in it.
Excuse me, Mr. Bostic, could you tell me exactly which library those books are located in?
They're in the state of Mississippi, where he stated that anybody can order and put on hold and have it sent here.
Here in the state?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
No, I'm
Are
saying.
you saying that you looked them up on our catalog? Is that what
Yes, I did, and it showed that they're in Rankin County or whatever it can.
Please keep in mind, when you're doing a search on there, you're looking at the libraries that Mr. Day mentioned. There are over 3.25 million books that you are searching, and
That was just a 2-second search.
I understand.
I mean, I'm just saying, if somebody goes in there and types that in, boom, they put it on hold, it got shipped from Holmes County to Rankin County or whatever to here, it's in their hand. I'm just saying, you know, is it not true?
That is
Okay, that's just my
exactly right.
conviction in my heart.
That is exactly right.
I don't want any child, there's a saying that I go by. It don't matter. When I take my last breath, I have a plaque on my wall. It doesn't matter where I lived. It don't matter what kind of car I drove. It doesn't matter what's in my bank account. My main objective is I don't cause one child to stumble, just one. And I've come in contact with many children, and I will not let that fall on my head if I can do anything about it.
I understand, sir. I would like to give some more specifics, Mayor, if I might.
Yes, Ms.
Regarding the hold service that was mentioned. There are an average of 300 holds placed for patrons in the Horn Lake Library per month. That's an average. Of those 300, 95% or more are placed for adults, okay? The remaining ones that are placed for children, 2, 3, or 4%, are primarily by people who are there they're homeschoolers that are trying to get materials to supplement their education. We do not have toddlers or very young children placing holds on material.
This wasn't toddler, this is teenager.
Okay, well, I'm
They're
just saying.
children until they're 18 years old and they become an adult.
Horn Lake, we do, I'm just explaining to you who is placing holds in the Horn Lake Public Library, sir.
Alderman Dupree.
I want to ask something about what Alderman Johnson mentioned in the last discussion. Sounded good to me. Somebody was to order a book online and want it shipped here. Does it have to come here? Or can we block it from coming to our library, but they can go to
You
South
can.
Haven?
You can, like, for example, in our software, the patron can set where I wanna pick this book, choose a different location. However, you have to keep in mind that you have a lot of people who may not have easy transportation to go to these other sites, and they're used to coming to Horn Lake to get these books. And an example of how this is used primarily, everyone, is let's say that I'm a Horn Lake citizen. And let's say I decide that I want to read all of John Grisham's books, okay? And I read all that they have at the Horn Lake Library. But they don't have them all. So I want to try to request them from other libraries so that I can read them all. So I go into the software or go to the library, place holds on the ones I need, and those are brought to Horn Lake for the convenience of that patron so that they can come pick them up and read them. What you're describing, sir, would mean they would have to drive to Fernando or drive to Walls or drive to South Haven to pick up their material.
Let me clarify. Sexually explicit material. Surely there's gotta be something in the computer system, like an algorithm to say, hey, this is a sexually explicit material, and I click Horn Lake, and the machine says, no, you can't go to Horn Lake. And then they say South Haven or Olive Branch or whatever, and then yes, you can go do that. Is there anything out there like that?
Well, we have a very intricate software system that operates all of that. I'm not aware of its capability to screen in that manner, but I can certainly check into it.
Ms. Barnes, may I ask you
Yes.
something, ma'am?
Certainly.
Getting back to the First Amendment, I see Mr. Brown is here. All right, suppose someone wants to order a book that we don't like, and you don't like, but it's in the system, right? And you say, no, you can't get it. Does that violate their First Amendment when we say, we're just not gonna let you get that book?
You know, you could argue that,
It's
Mayor.
not-
I think
I mean,
some
that's
people
what
would.
because just like Alderman Young said, we've been down this path before and it cost this city a lot of money.
And certainly the First Amendment plays a big role in public libraries. You know, public libraries are very different from school libraries in that respect. We absolutely do try to represent the viewpoints of everyone. Doesn't mean we endorse it, doesn't mean we like it. But in a public library system, you know, you're gonna see materials that are objectionable. And so, do we have all the money in the world to buy everything that's requested? No, we don't. But we do try to be very judicious and make the best choices for everyone in our community and not just people who believe this way or this way or this way.
Mayor,
Alderman DeBrey.
I would like to ask Mr. Billy, what I just said, it didn't say that you couldn't get the book. It just says you can't pick it up at this library. Is that unconstitutional?
That's a library function that I would leave to Mr. Brown on that. I can tell you that the city is not required to fund a library, so by withholding funding, you're not violating anyone's First Amendment rights.
Okay.
I would certainly say it's an invitation to a lawsuit. How the lawsuit would end is a good question, but it would certainly be it'd be putting a kick me sign on your back, and
That's what I was asking Ms. Barnes.
Okay, so we're,
If they'll say, yeah, we're on the same page. If it's in the system and someone here wants it here and they say, no, Horn Lake won't let you have it, we are essentially saying, you know, you're not gonna read this. That'd be a violation of his First Amendment. Do y'all wanna, move on? Alderman Young.
One thing well, actually two things. One is the agreement is between us and the supervisors, not the library. That's number one. Right there is the agreement. It's between us and the
It's an
supervisor.
interlocal agreement of taking care of the property.
No, that's fine, and that's what this agreement is about, and it says we'll fund that. And the second thing is, if you have a problem with any book you pulled up, there's your form, make you some copies, and you can submit it to them, and they'll review whether it'll be taken out or not. Do your homework, there's your homework.
You ain't gotta get smart, Alex.
I'm not getting,
Okay,
I'm just offering you an option.
No,
We can just end this, y'all. Let's behave.
Good idea.
We're going on too far. We're getting off. Alderman Bostic,
I just have one last thing to say.
Yes.
I know for a fact in the school system, they do have provisions. And there's no way those provisions can be put into the public system. Is there? Is there?
I'm not aware of this, of provisions that are in a school library.
Well, I know a child can go to the library and try to check out a book and it'll red flag say, you're not of the right grade, you can't check out this book.
Our software does not permit that, sir.
Wow.
It does not permit that.
Wow.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Well, one thing that might need to be happening, the law needs to change so we can do this. And then we might need to upgrade their system so it can red flag the stuff that I might not like Lassie, but you might like Lassie, you know.
I like it.
I like Lassie.
So
Yeah, we like
that's what I'm
Lassie.
saying. Just cause I don't like a book, don't mean you don't like a book. But I know
This is
about
different.
what he's talking about.
Sexually
That's,
explicit.
they arrest people online for doing stuff like that. So, you know, once they pass the law, if y'all get your congressman or whoever, all them big politicians, get them to pass a law that says we can do this, and then we can do it. But until then, we might have to fund the libraries for all them thousands that wanna read a book, and we're keeping them from reading Lassie. So, anyway.
And a very good point, and the library, as we said earlier, has so many programs. It does so much good. I'm just like everybody here. I don't want kids getting that either. But we're having to tread here. And in some ways, we have to say, here's all the good, here's all, just a little bit of bad. But I understand the predicament that the people at the library are in too. I mean, you might not agree with the law, but you have to go by the law.
Absolutely.
Now, does anybody else on the board have anything? Does anybody in the audience want to say something? Keep it to 2 minutes, because we're gonna be here till midnight. Ms. Carter.
I just wanted to say that, I know a lot of these ladies personally at the library. I'm sorry, I know a lot of them personally. They're, very good Christian ladies. I feel like they would all stand the same when it comes to not wanting these things, promoting these things. But at the same time, like Mayor said, you have to weigh it. You gotta weigh the good and the bad and see where it balances out sometimes. And they promote a lot of family activities, a lot of positive activities. They're not going to this one select percentage that we're talking about in these books and highlighting and promoting this. They are promoting family events, things for our kids. We don't have a lot in our community. Without them, our kids would have nothing to do. We have a skating rink and that's it. I mean, they do so much for our community. And I think, like Alderman Bledsoe said, reach out to your senators, your representatives. They listen. I went to the Capitol last year and feel their earful. They will listen to you. You have to do your part as a citizen to get your voice heard. But I wanted to end on the note, I'm a nurse and I can't just walk in and say I don't believe in what you do and everything. I still take care of you. And that's what these ladies are doing. They can't say I can't help you because you look like this, you believe in this, and you do that. They're just doing what they were called to do and what their job duties are, just like a nurse or doctor would, no matter what your religious beliefs are or, you know, your ethnicity or anything. So I think that should really be taken into consideration
ma'am.
for them.
And thank you for being at the Spooktacular. Y'all look great. We're having a lot of fun. Ms. Bostic, do you have something, ma'am?
I do. It's sort of a suggestion. Maybe I think that it might be doable. I think the biggest problem, I will just tell you that I'm very much on Alderman Bostic's page about a lot of these things. My question is, and my biggest concern is babies. I mean, some of these morally, okay, yes, I operate on a Christian belief system. I realize that everybody does not. But morally, I think probably 95% plus are on the same page as far as babies. And babies, and I'm talking zero, a lot of these 0 to 4, 5, and 6 years old. I mean, geared towards that age. When it's something that is a very moral hot button, so to speak, it's something that's very questionable, and that causes more division than there already is, when it's such a hot topic. And, but can those books, so my littlest grandson is 2.5. I've never taken him to the library, and they've all been in the library and had a library card by the time they were 2 days old. But I need to prevent that, to keep, I know of quite a number of homeschool moms who are not going to the library either, to let their kids just roam around the bookshelves because of questionable things. When it's a morally questionable book geared for babies, okay, I understand you probably cannot pull it out of the system, but can they be put up or back or away to where a parent would have to help, have to request this for their child?
Thank you,
To
Ms.
keep-
Bostic.
And I just, can I have one more question?
Just make it short, please,
Okay,
ma'am.
I will. This says on the youth card, application that the child has to sign. It says, I agree to obey the policies, rules, and regulations of the First Regional Library and to notify the library when any information I have given is changed. I will be responsible for all charges incurred for any overdue, lost, or damaged library materials, so on and so forth. That's a child signing that, but a child cannot be held, I'm thinking this may be a legal loophole that we could use. A child can't be held responsible for
Bostic,
the
please.
financial part.
Please, you said short, please,
Okay.
ma'am.
I
And
thought I
you're
was
just
saying short.
going on.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, typically on a child's card, you're gonna have to have a parental sign on also. So that's where the responsibility comes in. On the child's card is the parent also.
Thank you,
Also,
ma'am.
another
Thank you,
point I
Ms.
would like
I'll ask
to,
you.
Mayor, I would like to also bring to your attention is, because we are concerned about the, children's access to materials. Our board has been very proactive this year, the past few years, have not had one complaint about any materials from the Horn Lake Public Library, not one. Now, I've received some from some of the other libraries, but I have not received one complaint about any of the materials at the Horn Lake Public Library. Our board
Maybe stay
members
that
have
way.
passed this policy, and this sign right here, when you go to our libraries, you are going to see this sign all over the place. You're gonna see it in the children's area, you're gonna see it in the teen area, and you're gonna see it at the circulation desk that clearly states the responsibility is with the parent. We strongly encourage parents to engage in the material selection process with their children. Because it's hard for us to know, you may find this objectionable, somebody may find this objectionable, and we can't be held responsible for
Alderman
knowing
Young
that all the
pointed that
time.
out at the last meeting, I believe.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, I think we've covered every point thoroughly, but is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make some comments? All right, anybody on the board? Are we ready to make a motion? Alderman
I'll
Young,
make a motion that we fully fund the library as agreed to through our budget.
we have a motion by Alderman Young, do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Alderman Johnson, is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
With a heavy heart. Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Nay.
Alderman Guy.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
It made the law change.
Aye. Motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Thank y'all very much. Thank you, Ms. Barnes, all the library staff. Thank you, brought your own attorney with you. Thank you very much. Who is a graduate of Horn Lake in South Haven?
And any of you, if you would like to come see me and take a tour of the library, I am on it. I
'Cause y'all
welcome you.
live-
Can I bring a dog?
Huh?
Can I bring a puppy?
I'm not going with you.
Oh, okay.
We'll check them out.
You are.
Okay. I can only bring the 5. Man, I'm so glad Fonzie's on my side. He gonna give me a lot of different things.
I know.
All right, hey, Mr. Zach, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break. I think everybody needs fresh air, it's awful hot.
Yeah, something.
Thank you, sir. Well, somebody stole your office. Somebody stole the. I'm gonna go with you.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're.
Zach, got your hickey suit on? That's about $1,200.
Oh, that's nothing.
I would say,
Get you a bigger stick. It's issues with the interpretation of the law. To me, it's clear.
Mike, make sure you're not on a mic.
So we need clarity. I've already talked to various
awaits the results posted for this box only.
What was it?
If I'd have known, I would've
Repeat all
I
30 of
lost
them.
a lot of them.
You didn't get reelected.
All right.
I'll tell you about it later.
Mr. Jim, where's Mr. Jim?
Right behind
Do you wanna skip down to letter E, you said?
C.
Pardon?
C.
We're gonna grab
All right,
Mr. Hemp.
All right,
Oh, back up.
we're going back to special guests and presentations, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Zach Hemp. This is Mr. Zach, and this is Mr. Lucas, right here. And what it is, he has the medical marijuana dispensary out here next to Planet Fitness. And he, said there's been, with our city regulations, he was wondering if maybe the board would be open to reconsidering some of them because of things. And, I went down and looked at his shop. And y'all know that I wasn't even in favor of medical marijuana. But when you walk in the door, it's just a wall. And there's a little window, like a ticket window. There's a person sitting there, and you have to show your medical marijuana card or your caregiver card if you're bringing somebody in. And it's okay for you to go in if you're legal. They will open the door where you go back where the product is. You cannot even see the product when you first enter. And I would encourage each one of you to go down and look at it and see as he makes his presentation. I think you've got something on the silver screen.
We have, we also, we have, a little printout.
All right, if you would, please, sir. Sure.
You can just hand them, we'll hand them out. Just hand them to them.
Hey,
It'll save you some work there.
We can share.
I'll get another, man. I'm just a slow dealer.
You don't work at the casino, huh?
No. I'll be-
He's doing the same thing.
Right.
He's
Take
coming
one and pass it
tonight.
down.
I'm sorry, you went to a question.
Mr. Hemp is coming to you tonight to make these requests. You might want to ponder them for the next board meeting, but he wanted to present them to you and give you the opportunity to view his establishment. All right, Mr. Zach. This is Mr. Lucas.
How are y'all doing this
Good.
evening?
Good.
So, just wanna kinda open up, we are extremely grateful to be in the city of Horn Lake. We definitely enjoy being able to reach out to our patients in this area. And starting on page 1, we've got just our security steps and precautions when entering our facility. They'll enter our lobby area, they'll be greeted with a trained and certified employee who will require their medical card as well as their valid government ID upon entering. We will enter in a handful of information when scanning not only their driver's license, but their medical card.
So they have to have a driver's license too?
A valid government ID, yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
After that, we'll enter in their information in our point of sale system, and that tracks everything that's integrated with the state system as well. After that, we'll walk them onto the sales floor. They cannot get past our lobby door without getting all of that information. After the patient is served and the sale is made, we walk them back to the door and through our lobby. As far as our security measures, right now in the ordinance, we are required to have an armed security guard. Based on our operational plan and how we have set up our facility, right now, City of Horn Lake is the only city we're in that requires an armed security guard while we're open for business. First, we feel that the presence of a security guard can kind of give the wrong idea of the atmosphere we try to propose for our patients. We understand we are extremely close to the city of Memphis. That being said, with our security precautions and operations, we feel that we can secure our product secure and the safety of the patient as well as their product after it is sold, without the presence of a security guard. Especially since we are just hopping a skip across the street, right beside the Planet Fitness, less than half a mile away from the police department. After that, after searching through a couple of different security companies, we've come across the cost of security is extremely high. With us being brand new in the city, it does hinder our ability to not only expand for our patients, but also handcuffs us a little bit to where we feel that we could do a lot more with directing those funds elsewhere to further help our patients.
So, mind you that once you walk in from the front door, we have a lobby like a doctor office. So, an employee is behind a bulletproof window. After they take their info, so they already, once you, and we also have a panic button. This case of emergency, all they gotta do is press the panic button. I mean, this police department is not further than 800 feet from our location. So, and we've been honestly seeing, I mean, with the security guards in prison right now, we just feel like it's not necessary.
We take further precautions as far as security cameras that are required by the state. They back up to 120 days to where if any kind of mishap were to happen involving a patient, any product, we have that freedom and to be able to look back. We have no blind spots to where if anything was to happen, we can track it down very, very quickly and hopefully remedy that situation if it ever did pop up. And if you will flip on the next page.
So our second request would be allowing us to open on a Sunday. So there are several reasons that we feel like right now, us being not open on Sunday compared to a lot of other cities as well as that also they have locations as well. They're allowed to open on Sundays, and also when the patients with medical conditions who rely on cannabis for symptom relief require access to their medication 7 days a week. Opening on Sunday ensures that the patient can obtain their medical cannabis without interruptions or delays, providing continuous care.
Another thing is flexibility of patients. A lot of our patients still work a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday job. So when it comes to the 2 days on the weekend, a lot of times that's their only possibility to be able to get their medication. Being open on those Sundays helps us cater to any of our patients' flexibility of their schedules. Like I said, a lot of them do still work their Monday through Friday jobs to where if Sunday's their only option to be able to come 1 week, we can offer that. Being open on Sundays also, it shows a really great commitment to our patients. A lot of times, a lot of dispensaries are in the business to make money. We don't try to portray that idea to any of our patients. We're very thorough in our knowledge as far as what we try to recommend for them. And that being said, being open on Sundays gives us a greater chance of reaching out to every patient possible and providing them the right type of medication and care that they deserve. And the next page is opening on holidays.
So right now, we're not allowed to open on holidays. And holidays are, for a lot of people who actually own businesses and in the different type of businesses, holidays is it's a very important day for a lot of patients when they have free time. And also, this right here is medical cannabis business that helps patients. So if somebody needs their medicine, the medication, you gotta be able to have access to it. Mind you that we have other businesses, we have the same business in other cities, and there has not been any restriction on our opening and closing time. So always been what the state requires. So the state requires to be open from 7 a. They suggest for us to be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, no problem, including holidays. And this is something that we feel like we request us have been able to open the holidays will be a big benefit to our patients.
A lot of the holidays brings a lot of stress to just about anybody. I know myself included. A lot of places to go, not enough time to get there. A lot of people go through extreme anxiety and depression through the holidays, and that's one of the ailments that classifies for medical cannabis. We feel that if we could try to just reach out to anybody and everybody on any given day, any given time under the parameters set by the state, we could accomplish a lot, especially in the city of Horn Lake. And on the final page of the printout, paraphernalia. Right now, based on the guidelines in the ordinance, we're not allowed to sell paraphernalia in our dispensary. That being said, we feel that if we were allowed to sell paraphernalia, we could definitely be a one-stop shop for all of our patients. Not only does it limit the amount of time that the patient's medication is quote-unquote on the road during transport from our facility to their home, but it also allows us to further educate our patients into finding the right ways to consume their medication, regardless if that means smoking it, eating it, making edibles at home, etc. If with us not being allowed to sell it right now, we're having to pretty much tell them to go to somewhere else, and they almost have to lie to the people of that business, because as soon as they say it's for medical cannabis, they have to kick them out, because in the state of Mississippi, paraphernalia is sold for tobacco use only. So we feel that if they were definitely able to get it from us, like I said, they can get further educated in the more correct way on how to consume their medication, as well as the quality of whatever they're buying. We try to carry only top shelf, medical grade, high quality products to further help consume cannabis, to where our patients feel like they have gotten a well-rounded experience.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, in Horn Lake, you're open 10 till 10.
Yes.
10 to 10. And when I went over and saw them, and we're talking to them, they were requesting that the board consider being 7 to 7 because they thought it'd be safer hours. Chief, have you had any trouble or any at this business?
No, sir, not to my knowledge. If I can just speak my opinion.
Yes.
The 7 to 7, I do believe would probably be more beneficial. However, ultimately it's up to the board and backing off of security, things like that. But I do think if the door's open to back off in one area, it kind of sets the stage for backing off all the way around. However, they do bring up good points with the security of the cameras backing up for 120 days, which is a big hurdle that we always have to overcome in most businesses, is that the video is there, but there's no backup to it. So it's lost before we can actually get what we need. The proximity from the police department. Regardless of the decision that's made, we're here and we're always gonna, you know, we will absolutely do 100% what we need to do to protect this business. So that's y'all's decision to be made. The 7 to 7, I would agree with, but no, sir, to my knowledge, we haven't had any issues with this business.
Alderman Young.
Couple of questions. Did y'all read our law and our ordinance before you opened the doors, before you rented that building?
Yeah.
Is your wall, but I've been there, I've been to your location. Is the wall where the bulletproof glass, is that wall bulletproof?
No, the
So as long as a guy or girl standing right behind the glass, he's protected right here. But if you go below that, he's not protected or she's not protected.
we can add.
You know, I'm asking what you got now.
Yeah.
You're asking me to do something. Okay. Have you ever been to a liquor store on Saturday night? Why'd you go to the liquor store on Saturday night? Because it closed on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a no. You knew the rules when you came in here. I'm a no. Just where I'm at.
Alderman Bostic had his hand up first.
Yeah, I had some similar questions. That we worked really hard on this over a long period, long way. It just go on and on. We set it on the back burner. We waited to see what was going on. We wanted to make sure that when we did do this, that we put a committee together and we did it on a term that we all agreed on. And that any business that came in here, this is what we drew up. This is what you got to abide by. To already open your business and then within a month, has it been a month or less? You're asking us to do all these changes. No. Security guard's got to be there. You want to do 7 to 7, that's fine instead of 10 to 10. You know, but there is no on Sunday. There's nothing on holidays. On Saturday night, if I want some wine on Sunday, I'm walking up here to the store and getting some wine by 10 o'clock. If I miss it, I miss it. I have a question. Do they make appointments like you do at a doctor's office, or do they just walk in?
They just walk in.
Every customer you have is a walk-in customer. No appointments. So they know that your hours are 7 to 7, just like Walgreens is 9 to 9. There you go. So if they got to get their prescription, then they need to got to get to Walgreens by 9 o'clock. You know, so you're open 6 days a week. You're only closed, 52 days a year plus 5 holidays, so 56 days, 58 days, whatever it is. You're open all the other time. I think they have plenty of time to be able to get what they need. We need to have a security guard there if you want to do the business, and I don't think any of us here is going to negotiate anything other than, I think our ordinance said 10 to 10. We can change it 7 to 7, and we can abide by that. You can understand why we feel that way, or I do anyway, and why most of us feel, because we really worked hard to make sure that we got this straight and in the ordinance before anybody decided to come do business here. Thank you.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes. I have 2 concerns. Where does your product stay when you all leave?
Showroom.
Showroom. Now, as we can see from the news, and you said yourself as well, we're Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how you put it. And the criminals are getting more brazen every day, every single day. So I'm afraid for the safety, even your shop, if they'll steal some gym shoes, what do you think they will do to your business? You know, that's really a concern to me, the safety. They're doing it. Can you tell me what your paraphernalia is?
I got some right. I'm just kidding.
Hey, let's make a ball.
He said he had some. What is it?
As far as our classifications of it, like
Yes.
water pipes, dry vaporizers for the flour. We have a practical, almost like a crock pot to be able to make
Oh,
live
okay.
with.
Okay.
For patients that are like non-smoking.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I didn't
I got
understand
that next
exactly
door.
what it was. Okay.
Use a Coke can.
I got it next door.
Alderman Dupree was next, Alderman Bledsoe.
I want to say something about the security. So, your patients, people come in with medical cards, correct? And they go in, they purchase, and they come out and they leave with a security guard there. They should feel protected where nobody can rob them of their product. If somebody has a uncomfortable position with a security guard there, maybe they got something to hide themselves. That's my point on that.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Alderman Bledsoe.
And, you said something about the police department being right down the road. Well, most time if there's a policeman here, they're doing paperwork or they already got somebody here, so that ain't gonna cut cotton there. Because they're busy already tied up doing something. A lot of times they're not here, they're out in the field. So, and the ones that are here are, got a case or something they're working on, so that, that's not gonna work.
Alderman Guys.
We did work a long time on this ordinance, and it wasn't a sure thing that it would pass. I was an advocate for it. I was actually an advocate for more of the law here. But this was a true compromise to be able to pass this at all. And, and we said then that, after a while, we would look at it, see if we needed to tweak it or change it. This is really soon. The security was the main thing. I wasn't worried about the old movie Reefer Madness, people running around breaking in houses and stuff because they were getting medical marijuana. Our concern was that you're a soft target for robberies, theft, things like that, because what you're selling is expensive. I would assume it's still a cash business. And as a 32-year police officer, I worked far too many robberies where people were killed over $25 in a cash register. So you guys are doing a service for the public, but the security is important. It's something that I would be willing to look at later, seeing what happens. And I would like to visit your facility and see, and I would recommend, I'm sure the police department still has people certified like I was on security by the design of the building. You've got bulletproof glass. I don't want to go into that on a public forum so people watching can hear what weaknesses you may have, but he touched on it. Breaking down that door or shooting low on that glass and rushing through could put you guys in a bad situation behind a door where a passing police officer can't even see into the back of it. I understand the purpose of it and it's smart, but before I would vote to change the security, I would need to know more about how it's designed, what if we have any incidents in the short term, and come back and look at it later. As far as the paraphernalia, I think I would be willing to look at that eventually as well, if it's only sold to people that have the card that are buying from you. I think the concern was of like the shops up in Memphis or other places we're familiar with where anybody could walk in and buy pipes, bongs, dugouts, whatever. If it's sold in tandem with buying the product from you, I would be willing later to consider it. But this is really soon. It was a struggle to get this all together and get it passed. And some people that were skeptical of it went along because of the changes we had here. So, I would think I have no issue with 7 to 7, getting you guys out of there before 10 o'clock at night and when it's not dark like it is now. I think is safer for everybody and for you guys. I would assume going to make a deposit or whatever you need. And I would also recommend, if you aren't thinking about it, on those deposits, the police department probably still will escort you within the city limits to make them if you aren't doing it. So I'm willing to consider some of this, but at a later date. This is really soon. You're our first business. We don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. But I would be willing to consider it later. But I do want to come by and see your business eventually. And I would get with the chief about maybe some suggestions to help you more that might eventually make us feel more comfortable with a change down the road. So that's my comment.
Alderman Klein.
For the sake of time, I just want to say, I totally agree with Alderman Geis and what he's saying to y'all.
Alderman Boston.
Are y'all open now?
Yeah. Close at 7 o'clock.
So you're running it without a security guard now?
No, they have.
We're closed at 7.
No, I'm talking
Looks
about,
like you played
I'm talking
with
since you've
Packers.
opened up is what I'm saying.
No, we have a security.
Oh, you do have a security?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
He looks like he plays for the Packers. How much does he weigh? About 280?
The guy you're talking about, he's a pretty big fella.
Alderman Young.
I'm on board with Alderman Geis and Mr. Klein. At a later date, I think, what we did, and it was really, I thought was pretty, we tried to limit the number of retail locations that would be in Holden Lake to help you out. Have you tried advertising? I mean, it sounds crazy.
One that Hernaco does.
Advertise, man. Advertise. The people will come. There is a need for this. But right now, on all this right now, the 7 to 7, I could be convinced. Why do you want to do that? Is a security guard more expensive after 7 o'clock? Or is it just something that's,
So,
you got a reason. I mean, what's your reason for 7 to 7 instead of 10 to 10?
So 7 to 7, we feel like it's safer, first of all, which is the main thing. And we're open from 10 a.m., which is following the
10 p.m.
the 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Right now, I just said, you know what? We're just gonna till we come and speak with you guys.
You're trying to cut a little cost, is what you're trying to do.
No.
Safety. They're worried about the safety. Right between 7 and 10.
And I have no problem with
Yeah.
that. 3 hours of a security guard, they are expensive, you're right. And leaving at 7 o'clock, I think it's probably a smart thing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good thing. But the rest of it, we're gonna gnaw on that a little bit.
As far as the paraphernalia, I just wanna put a point, make a point. So, the state do not allow us to sell paraphernalia to anybody or make any transaction to anybody don't have their medical card. So regardless if, so like, for example, I have another location in Olive Branch and, we sell paraphernalia, and if you don't have your medical card, we're not gonna make any sale regardless what it is.
Won't allow them on sale.
We won't even allow them in.
Is that in the back as well with the rest of your product?
Yes.
So it's not out
No.
to see. Okay.
Alderman Johnson.
Are your systems linked? Say if I bought paraphernalia here and then I went to Memphis to buy paraphernalia, would it show that I've already bought some?
No.
Not Memphis.
It's cash.
No. So, no, actually, so like if you're in Mississippi, paraphernalia is in the system.
Okay.
But what Metric do, it tracks the cannabis.
Okay.
The medical cannabis. There's a system for that, designed by the state. So.
Well, maybe one of y'all know, I was opposed to medical marijuana. And since then, I've had a friend that had a stroke, and she's told me how much it helps. Of course, it's gotta be, how much can somebody buy at one time?
There's a limit, so
What
it's
is that?
6 units. 6 units.
That's how many ounces?
So 21
Equivalent
grams.
to 21 grams in a 7-day period.
So it's limited to 21 grams in the summer. So if I went to the shop for Horn Lake and bought some, and then I went 2 days later to someone else's dispensary.
It will be tracked.
It will be tracked, okay.
Every transaction is tracked.
So it's all tied in there.
Yes.
So, you know, I, like I say, everybody here knows I was opposed to it, but it's here, and it does, I've found out from friends that it does have a help. As long as they can limit it to a certain amount. I'm like y'all, I think the 7-7's a lot safer time, a lot safer time. And the paraphernalia, the thing, if they can't sell it there, they're gonna go to a drugstore or pipe shop and get it, you know, so. Or they'll write it, it's just, I can't see you selling a lot of paraphernalia, because when you buy a pipe, it's not like every day. It's like when I used to sell corkscrews, I didn't sell one to somebody every time they came in. Had to wait till they lost them.
Yeah, but when you drink cognac and you lose your phone, you got to go buy a new one.
I've heard Uzo's pretty tough. Alderman Bostic,
Do we need to make a motion to change that time on the ordinance?
do we have to have a public hearing or a legal notice? All we gotta do is do that.
If everybody's in agreement, I'll make that motion to change the times on the ordinance to 7 to 7 instead of 10 to 10.
Motion by Alderman Bostic, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Geis, discussion, Alderman Young.
Could we, I'm fine with it, but could we make it on a basis, on contingency basis that cause I mean, some people may want to be open till 10. And if their argument is they have to get it anytime they need it.
What do you think, Bill?
Can we do it on like a, what do you call it, whenever you do a different?
Well, you could do 7 AM to 10 PM, and that gives the
7
option.
AM to 10 PM, leave it as an option.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Everybody good with that? I'll change that.
Motion still good?
Yes.
Second still good?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I gotta get there
Any
early.
more discussion? Did you understand what he was saying?
Yes.
That you can, it's open at 7 and you can close whenever you want to.
Yes.
Just can't stay open past 10 and no holidays, and no week, no Sundays.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We have a motion, we have a second, is there any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Hey,
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Mr. Hemp and Mr. Lucas, I think that.
His last name Hemp?
We thank you for coming.
yeah.
So what?
Middle name.
Yeah, Hemp, I know what you mean.
I thought you said Mr. Hemp.
Thank you.
That's a long name.
I think you realize the board.
Oh,
That is his name.
Is it really?
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you said Kemp.
No, it's.
They can come, hey, they can come check it out about it.
That's funny.
Are you using it?
Okay, Sunday, on Sunday, they can just come over to Ward 3.
Yeah. You should.
Thank you, guys.
Or my next door neighbor. That's why I wanted to go and look at that.
That Sunday deal, you can't sell liquor on Sunday, you
Are we
can't
up
buy
to letter D
marijuana.
on new business?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
That came up about, South Haven is a retirement community. And it came up at a council of governments meeting that get the rest of the cities and the county government to agree that we be a retirement county in all the municipalities. And the fee for that was $20,000 divided among everyone. Divided among everyone. Let's see how this is presented on this thing.
Yeah, South Haven don't have it, right?
But they're talking about doing it.
But they are already a certified retirement.
No, I'm talking, they don't have any dispensaries.
Oh, not yet. I don't know.
I was told not long ago, they're not getting any.
What's that, sir?
He's on different page.
Yeah, he's still.
He's back on them.
He's still smoking.
Oh.
He's
He's
still
talking about
smoking.
marijuana.
He won't use
Well,
the paraphernalia.
Alderman Young.
This is, it's a good thing, but I talked to the supervisor, Caldwell, today. The county's not getting any.
Well, they're not?
No, they're not, well, let me put it to you this way. Four
She's
not
not
gonna,
gonna vote for it.
they're not gonna vote for it. And the reason she gave me was that people are already calling, wanting transportation to and from, at that age, to and from doctor's appointments, because it's in this clause. We really don't need to get in the transportation business either.
Y'all want me to find out some more about this? 'Cause
Yeah,
I wasn't
I
brought
would
up.
think we need to look at it and review it a little bit more, because this, I'm all for it. I mean, if 55 or not, but we really need to look at it.
Well, I know that Alderman Bledsoe has worked long and hard trying to get.
And he's getting one, he just don't know it yet.
Sir?
He's getting one, he just don't know it yet.
What do you get? My wife put me in one.
And she's a blonde, don't worry about it.
But I know he worked long and hard to get, and if this would help us get a retirement community.
I just think we need more information.
Well, I agree.
I think we
But
need
I was tickled to death to hear it because how long Alderman Bledsoe has worked on this stuff.
Oh, I'm all for it.
I'm trying to get Francis a place.
Francis needs to move to Florida.
He's a cantaloupe man.
So do we need to make a motion to table it, or? can we just-
No.
Just let it go.
Let
Y'all
it
want
go.
to, let me find out some more about it, bring it back to
Yes,
you?
sir.
Please.
All right, yes, sir. All right. Down to letter E. We're gonna have to have some discussions. Do we have a motion first?
Your favorite thing, Mayor.
Mayor, I motion that we approve to accept a change order number 2 payable to Murphy and Sons, Inc., totaling $17,180.17 or up to $38,263.24 for the City Hall renovation project.
We have a motion by Alderman Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Geis. All right, now is there any discussion? Alderman Klein.
First thing that comes to my mind when I see this is the bid process. You know, companies are bidding on it. Now, all of a sudden you have these changes. Now, did the other company possibly figure these charges in and they were higher because of that? I don't know.
Where's Mr. Jim? This is your question, sir.
I couldn't answer that question.
See, that to me,
Mr. Robbie is here. I don't mind, I'm with the architect, and I don't
Okay.
mind answering that question. Honestly, the low bidder was very much lower than the rest of the bidders on the project, so we don't feel, just looking at the prices overall, there's no way that this would have affected, the bid price. They still would have been the low bidder. And just, in the face of their mistake, though, they have certainly taken it and eaten a lot of costs that you would have paid. So you're really getting a great deal on door hardware. Because, I understand that it was a mistake, and we all make mistakes, and they left it out. But because of that, they are giving you about as good a deal on door hardware as you couldn't go bid it out and get it cheaper than what they're giving it to you for. And obviously the difference in the two is one is not all new hardware. One would be like reusing some of the existing hardware, whereas the higher price there, the 38, is going to include all new hardware for the whole building. And I can tell you, we saw what their first price, they did actually give us a price of this is what it would have cost. And we said, no, and we all knew that. They knew that too. And so they said, okay, let's start sharpening the pencil and let's see where you're going to end up because you made a mistake. And I think all things considered, we ended up in a pretty good place.
Are you saying, sir, that even though this is an increase, it's actually cheaper than we'd be able to go out and get it now?
For commercial hardware, yes, sir. If you bid that commercial hardware for this whole building out right now, I fully believe it would be quite a bit more expensive than this cost is here because of the fact that they have taken so much out of it due to the fact that they made a mistake in their bid.
So they've tried to compensate the
They
city?
they have very much tried to compensate because of their mistake, yes, sir.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Y'all know how I feel about change orders. They should not be anywhere near, when they bid, that's it. you know, but I understand people make mistakes. They put 300,000 in this building on change orders. So maybe this will be the last one.
Well, yes, sir. If y'all don't change anything, I mean, that's what we would hope, so.
I need to back up just a minute. I need to get your name, sir, for the minutes.
Oh, Robert Meredith.
Robert Barrett. Did you get that, Miss Julie?
I did.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. McCall. Alderman Young.
Why do we have two different numbers? We're writing an empty check.
He said one was for,
New.
one was for some new and just replacing, just putting the other stuff back. The higher one is for all new hardware.
Yes, I put that in there in case.
Yeah, you got to look at it again for me. I didn't understand that.
In case you all went a different direction. Phase 1A and 1B is the section that we've been walking through today, which you can see has no hardware. On the PD side, they still have their hardware. But I mean, I've said from day one, this hardware is 23 years old.
Yeah.
Half of it doesn't work. That board door right in there, you can't get the mechanisms to pop out. So I didn't want to come back to you and say that stuff is trash, because I knew it was trash. The 38,000 does the whole building, even though we haven't gotten to the PD side yet.
So it should just really say up to 38,000, not 17,000.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? Mr. Ross? Anybody? Do we have a motion? We have a motion. We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Guy.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Ah.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right. We're down to F. Consideration of an ordinance regulating fireworks bags.
Mr. Mayor, this is my doing here, and it's kind of carried over from the last meeting. And I apologize for, I am on the agenda, I just didn't get this to you until just now, but I didn't get some font size information until late this afternoon. But what I've passed out, what you have in front of you, the underlined portion is the new part. So that's what we are proposing to add to the fireworks ordinance for bags. And this kind of goes back to a discussion we had back in July as far as how you wanted your bags to look, because some people were kind of taking the liberty of taping small regulations to bags and stuff like that. So this requires them to have a professionally printed bag in English in a color that contrasts with the color of the bag, minimum 15-point type, and the next little section there talks about the typeface fonts, and I did my research on that. That gets you all the kind of block-looking letters and no cursive-looking letters that are hard to read for some people. They have to submit a prototype bag when making application for a tent permit, and they won't get their permit if they don't meet all the printing requirements. Then the next couple of sentences kind of say what y'all said back in July, that specifically taping, gluing, whatever, stapling doesn't satisfy the printing requirement. Neither does printing the regulations on a sales receipt satisfy this requirement. It's great if you do it, that's just another piece.
Another step.
That's right. But I think that covers everything that we talked about as far as getting it on the bag.
Thank you for doing it. I know all of them.
You okay with that, Mr. Bostic?
I'm awesome with that.
Do we have a motion?
No, I'm ask my question once again.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve section 16-67G of the code ordinance for the city of Horn Lake as amended, that Billy just explained to us about the regulations for the fireworks bag.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Bostic, second by Alderman Dupree. Is there any discussion? Alderman Bledsoe.
Can we make sure the fireworks people get this copy?
They will when they come get their permit.
Well, I was gonna give them a heads up.
Yeah, we'll be sure they get it in advance, because they do like to order bags before.
Oh, yeah.
They do that.
That's a great idea, because Christmas is right around the corner. Will this go into effect January the first, or will it go into effect?
Now,
Well, it'll go into effect, a month from today, so it will cover the upcoming season.
You got New Year's. So we need to go ahead, like Alderman Bledsoe said, may I suggest, is follow up on his idea to notify our vendors as soon as possible, so they can be getting their bags printed up. If you say a week ahead of time, here you are, then that way we get it done. Good idea, Alder.
thank you.
Thank
I had one tonight.
I've been several.
Let's go.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Guy.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right. Citizens' remarks. Tandra King. She with the live, oh, man, there you are, Miss King.
How are you?
How are you, Miss King?
I'm fine. Good afternoon to all the board members as well. Just want to make a request for 5932 Highway 51, Section C and D. We're interested in opening an adult care center for special need adults.
So, I mean,
Okay.
I mean.
He wants to talk.
Now you have somewhere to go.
I know.
Okay, and, our concern is the, rule number 31, requires 400,000 square feet for a playground. And we would like to request a modification due to the fact that this is an adult facility.
400. You would need to go to the planning department.
I'm sorry,
first.
4,000.
You'd have to go to the planning department to get this ball rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, they-
Actually, the planning, Chad is the one that sent us here tonight.
Well, there we go.
There you go, Chad. Stand up, buddy.
Boy,
Stand up.
he left out.
Little gun shy, are we?
Do you want to say anything?
Basically, no, I think I spoke to this lady,
Yeah.
it was just yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yes, it was just yesterday, and, they're looking at this potential address to establish this particular use. And, it looks like we'd fall into like a daycare type facility, and then where she expressed, Rule 31, basically is footnote 31, as found in Article 12 of the zoning ordinance that pertains to daycares, which talks about providing an outdoor recreational or play facility of 4,000 square feet. So we've looked at the particular site, and the site itself wouldn't lend itself to probably anything close to that. Probably the maximum size that they could find would be about 800 to 900 square feet. But when the department worked with Mrs. Moore when they located at the old CVS site, they were able to provide 4,000 square feet there. They had a larger population. The actual zoning ordinance requires, if it's over a certain size, that it's actually 200 square feet per additional child. And then we were able to mitigate that. That was mitigated because they made the argument that some of the children would be basically infants and wouldn't really use the play area outside. And then they had also made the argument at that location that the state requires on daycares that instead of turning out all the children at one time, they do it out in basically thirds. You know? So there's a 33% factor that was factored in, and they were able to meet the outdoor recreational space at that particular location. At this one, the idea is that, well, the population that they would be serving is older. They're older or whatever, and they're not really your typical child, somewhere between the age of maybe like 2 or 3 up to like a teenager that would have the use of a recreational facility outside. So I put to her the idea that obviously that the board made the recent change that they would need now, instead of just being a permitted use in some of the commercial zones, they would need the conditional use request. But just to kind of bounce off the board's collective wisdom for consideration, if they would consider, where it's an older population, whether they would still be a strict adherence to the 4,000 square foot requirement or not. So that's basically the question. That if they filed an application for a conditional use at that location, whether the board in the end would hold them to the actual requirement of the 4,000 square feet or not, because it's an adult population.
Right, well, if they're asking about a conditional use, this is going to be a public hearing.
It is, Mayor, but that'll be a separate issue from what Chad's talking about now.
I just kind of wanted them to like feel out the board for their thoughts on, since this would be an older population, basically people older or at least age 18 or more, due to the population, that the board would have any idea of modifying it in the end if they came to you with a conditional use.
Thank you, sir. I don't understand really what you're wanting to do. This is, you said an adult daycare?
Well, it's like special needs.
Autism,
Like
special needs.
autism, and they have different needs. We're gonna try to push them as far as they can go. Everybody's gonna be different. Every individual gonna be different.
But you're not talking about whether they need medical
No,
attention.
No, someone might need to tie their shoes. So we have a teacher there, so they have to help them tie their shoes. Or, put the clothes on, just different little
I'm trying to
aspects.
visualize where this is. Is this the old doctor building? Or the Goodwill building?
No, this used to be a school. It used to be a school 6 months ago. It was a dancing school.
Where?
Right there,
Highway 51.
Highway 51, 59.
Is that in that shopping center, ma'am?
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's right across, what is that? Right across, where the, auto parts at, it's right behind it. It's a beauty shop in front.
Oh, I know where you're talking about.
Yeah.
Across the street from the store? Across the street from the store?
Yes.
I think there used to be an insurance.
The only problem,
agent there.
I have one, Mayor,
Fire chief in there.
if it's gonna be a facility for learning and stuff, it's gonna have to be sprinkled, be in fire code, and I'm pretty sure that building's not sprinkled. It has been used as a church and some other things like
But
that,
it's not a teaching.
but it's,
It's not a teaching.
not gonna be considered if the health department gets involved as a daycare, that's where the playground comes into play. We don't really regulate that. That's gonna be the health department on the playground facility or whatever, the Mississippi Department of Health. That kinda takes it out of everybody's hand to whatever they say to gotta
I guess
have.
so.
But if it's an adult, I'm still gonna say, I don't know what, if some type of learning center, it's probably gonna have to be sprinkled to be in, any daycare coming in now has to be sprinkled. So if the health department comes in, they're gonna probably step in and put it to be sprinkled.
Well, we don't want these ladies to be spending a lot of their time and money.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said, we need to get more definition of what the health department's gonna require here.
And they would need to go what, to the
Mississippi
Bastrop planning or
Department,
down to Hernandez to the health department?
Mississippi Department of Health, they're in Jackson, but you can probably go to the local one and get, like you do in a daycare. Or a learning facility or for special needs. I know what you're trying to do, but before you spend a lot of time on whether it's gonna go or not, we need to look at, I don't want you to put in a lot of money and then we can't give you approval from the fire department to go in there.
Kinda like Region 4, like what Dan and Dan.
Yes, Mayor, that's what I was going to tell you. There's two different facilities that Region 4 has in DeSoto County. One is for the more advanced of special needs, and the other one is the lesser advanced. The one in Olive Branch is for the lesser. They are in an old shopping center where the motorcycle dealership used to be, and the other one is in an old funeral home. So I guess they're both sprinkled. I guess that's why they're in there. But yes, they are categorized in up to a certain point mental capacity, and some go to the clubhouse, that's what we call it, and some go to the hub. So what they're trying to do, I hope you can find a building. It is a need that the city needs. I see it on a daily basis. It is, that's why I jumped right on board with it, because I know what they're doing. It'll be an awesome, addition to our city.
Probably give them one of your cards.
Alderman Guys.
I guess my question is, you're just here today to just get a general idea if this board would shoot it down. And, I can speak for myself. The answer is no. I'd be glad for side, so if that's what
Whatever
you're
it takes,
looking at.
whatever we can do to make it right. If we can't, we can't. If we can, we can.
Just, I would say start the process and get going.
You had your hand, but.
Yes,
Mr.
yeah, no, I appreciate Chief Linville's comments, but I know that working at where the Little Scholars relocated to the old CVS location, that the state's requirement on the outdoor recreational space for daycares is 75 square foot per child. The city's is 200 square feet per child. So there's a difference there. The city's has a higher standard there. So I think that's one of the reasons I pitched to them the idea of trying to come here tonight, is not on the overall idea of the conditional use, on the use itself, but on the outdoor recreational requirement. Because that's the thing, if the city sticks with the 4,000 square feet, the site they're looking at is not gonna work. So, just, they don't have enough space outside.
Are y'all, is the board open to considering modifying the space requirement for these ladies?
If it's okay with the health department to put it in there and okay with the fire department, I think we would do that, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Does that answer y'all's question?
Right over here.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, where are you ladies
Right over
from?
here.
Horn Lake?
Yeah.
I live in
Church.
Horn Lake.
Ma'am?
Now
I live in Horn Lake.
somewhere else.
Where does your
Your partner in crime live?
Where are you from, Miss King?
Tennessee.
She couldn't even say Memphis. Just could not say, that's okay. That's okay.
Johnson said earlier.
But a lot of my businesses here in
I understand. I understand.
Are y'all gonna allow a puppy to come by and visit?
Yeah.
That's therapy.
Hey,
That's therapy.
What about it?
And the fox.
You do realize Tennessee people, we do charge them extra money.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
What about the kitty cat? You left the kitty cat out.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Egner, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
My remarks are probably gonna fall right into letter A, discussion of political events in the city property. Over the past several months,
Thank you.
I've been running for Supervisor District 3, as most of y'all probably know. I've had magnetic signs on the side of my truck, and I've been asked not to drive it onto this property because it's a polling location. It's my contention that it's only a polling location on election day. Or maybe, if it's a municipal election, during the absentee in-person voting period leading up to election day. So I don't think I should have to take those off, but I did. I don't want to be hard to get along with. Wasn't that big a deal. They're magnetic. They come off. They go right back on. But I do think I didn't really have to do that. Now, I passed out sample ballots at the trunk or treat, and I was asked, don't do that. I think that's a violation of my First Amendment rights to pass that out. I did pass out over $400 worth of candy to all those kids, and I passed out some good candy too.
Good candy.
Okay?
Butterscotch and peppermint.
I've been berated on social media for passing out paper clips and rubber bands, and I'm gonna tell you, I didn't pass out one paper clip or rubber band. You got a Hershey bar or a Three Musketeer or something like that, you got a good piece of candy. Now, I only passed out sample ballots to people that wanted them. Would you like a sample ballot? And I didn't do that at the same time. I passed out candy, another person passed out sample ballots. Would you like a sample ballot? If they said no, fine. If they said I already got one, fine. If they said yes, okay. We passed out over 2,000 sample ballots. So somebody wanted them. So what I want to know is, when I was asked not to do this anymore, my question was, what's the park policy? Can I get a copy of the park policy? Haven't gotten a copy of the park policy even yet. What is the ordinance that's preventing me from doing this? Well, I went on the website, I've been reading ordinances for like 6 days. And I tell you, I can't find an ordinance that has this. I found a political sign ordinance that had to do with posting political signs on city property. Now, this said posting political signs on election day or on polling day on city property. Didn't say all city property all the time. It just said during that election period. And also, posting a sign is like putting it on the bulletin board, sticking it in the ground. If it's on the side of your truck, it's going out of here in a couple of hours probably at tops. Now, I guess I could park my truck out there and just get my other car and drive off, but that's not what I was doing.
Has a 3 minute span up.
So I think I ought to be given at least a copy of the park procedures and the ordinances that back up what I was being asked to do. And I would like to know if there's an ordinance on the book that prevents you from trying to enforce a law or a rule that doesn't exist. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Dupree, I asked him to remove his signs off of his truck down here at the city hall, doing it. And then when I was running for office, I would take mine off and answer to that about the polling place. Now, Mr. Billy, would you mind researching those and getting the answers for Mr. Egner?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can tell you, on election day, you guys be 150 feet from the
And that's
polling location, from the
and
door. That's it. He can park that truck as long as it's 150 feet away.
Yeah, but by putting up signs, like here at City Hall, you're only allowed to put those up 24 hours before.
Yeah,
the
the polling
election.
location usually.
But Mr. Billy's gonna get you those.
But my question to you was, last month and the month before, that's not election day. That's not posted in the ground. So I feel like this particular ordinance needs some work.
Well, I know that we've only, the ordinance is that here at City Hall or polling places, no political signs can be put up until 24 hours before an election.
So
He's
this,
gonna get them all
so this
for
is
you.
not really a polling place unless it's election day. That's my contention.
I don't know how, that'd be a good question for a lawyer,
Okay.
because
I'm happy to turn it
I
over to a
I
lawyer.
respectfully disagree with you on that. I think that City Hall, except on election day, should be free. That people should be able to come here and not have to worry about everybody. And I've run for office 5 times, so I know how you feel about wanting to pass stuff out.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I certainly agree that City Hall ought to be nonpartisan. But you can't expect everybody that walks into City Hall to be nonpartisan.
I know, I'm not nonpartisan. None of us in here, none of us in here are nonpartisan.
And during this process with regard to events in the park, if you get a permit to have an event in the park, which we have in the past, and we've had democratic events in the park, and we put up signs during that permit time and taken them down afterwards. Okay, now all of a sudden, no political events in the park. Where's that written? You know, just give me a copy of it. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I just want to know. I looked through the codes and I couldn't find it. So, second of all, during that conversation, it was said to me that, okay, look, we're trying to prevent groups like Satanists from having events in the park. Okay? I'm a Democrat, but I'm not Satan, okay?
You're sitting next to it.
I can't help if I got the devil on my shoulder. But even at that, Satanists have First Amendment rights. I can't say that I would go to one of those or I would like it, but for crying out loud, Larry Flint already worked this through the Supreme Court, and he can put his magazine out if he wants to.
Mayor, I think our 3 minutes is way up.
Okay, we'll let it go. We'll get you that.
Thank you.
Can I
All right.
respond?
Pardon?
Can I respond just?
It's gonna start it all over again.
I just want to reiterate what you said about the political signs on my truck. I did have them on there. The mayor says, hey, will you take them off? He didn't tell me to. I gracefully said, yes, I
That's
will.
exactly what happened to me.
Okay.
You asked me to take them off. Did I not take them off when you?
But I will tell you, nobody will ever tell you, you cannot do that. They ask you not to do that. There's a difference between asking and telling. So, and there's a difference between your First Amendment rights and not.
And there's a difference between giving up your First Amendment rights in order to be polite and not.
This is a tricky area.
Yeah, it is.
The First Amendment is very, very tricky. All right, now, all right, all right, Ms. Carter, I think Ms. Carter left. All right, come on, Ms. Carter. Mr. Egner used your 3 minutes, so you're not gonna be allowed to speak.
I relinquish my time.
The devil got you.
I gotta go get some Satan work.
Hey, you.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
qualified.
You can bruise me all you want there.
Oh,
He was just kidding.
How would you take it?
No, he wasn't either.
All right, go ahead.
I wanted to come tonight on behalf of Shadow Oaks Elementary School PTA. I don't know if anyone noticed or not, but we were letter D on the consent agenda. And I just wanted to humbly say thank you for that. We are trying to do some big things at our school. There was a Title I meeting down at County a couple weeks ago, and they are really, really promoting involvement. Not just involvement, but engagement. Engagement over involvement. There's a big difference there. And with the miraculous test scores and everything that's happened across, all of our schools, if we start with the littles and get our families fired up when they move on to the intermediate school, we want them to keep that fire. And this grant will help us to do that. And part of getting the grant says that we will help promote back to our city. And we have some big things that we want to help promote our PTA in the school, but we want to promote the parental engagement as well as promoting Horn Lake. So over the next few weeks, you may see this little eagle at different businesses. We have partnered with some businesses in Horn Lake to have Eli the Eagle. And we are going to promote this for our students and their families to try to be on a scavenger hunt across Horn Lake to try to find Eli. And for every time they find him, they will be entered in a contest to win a $25 gift card. And it's just a way to give back to our students, to help promote that engagement, and as well learn new businesses in Horn Lake. I learned a few new businesses today as well that have been here for 20 plus years, didn't even know they were here. But they have partnered with us. And so I just wanted to come and say thank you so, so much. It's a way to give back to not only our teachers, our kids, their parents, but our community as well. So I just want to say thanks.
Thank you for all you do. This is great. Is the eagle somebody in a costume?
No, so he is a little 10-inch by 10-inch LED light eagle. So that way he can be in a business window, even if they close, like Sassy Girl Apparel, they close at 6 o'clock. If they are the location of the day, they can have the lights on and they can still find them after hours because the lights will be on and will be in a window. So this way it can promote businesses that might not necessarily be opened, after families get off work and things. So like if you work till 5 or 6 o'clock, by the time you get supper, and this is something that doesn't cost the families anything except just a little gas money, but it's right here in town, so it's not too much. They can go, and we encourage them to talk about the school day and stuff. But again, it'll help learn our city.
Well, thank you so much for all you do. This is a great thing, and like you said, the miraculous jump in our schools. I mean, they just shot up. In case y'all saw them, they just.
Yep.
Ms. Johnson said it's definitely due to the school library.
My son would agree. He loves Pete the Cat and he loves Miss Holland. So he would totally agree. And we want to keep that spirit of learning going, because if you instill that when they're young and it carries over, we want them to be on fire when they go over there as well. It's just as much as our job as it is for teachers.
I thought Eli was Peyton's brother.
Well, we had to go for an easy E name, so there we went.
Eli coming.
I don't have anybody else's name. Hey, Mr. Freeman.
All right, let's get
How you,
going.
sir?
Hey, there, Mr. Mayor.
I'm trying to make it. You wanna make it? You wanna make it, though? All right. That being the case,
Again.
all right. We've already talked about discussion of political events on city property. We've thanked our vets, thanked everybody involved with Halloween. Are you coming to the breakfast tomorrow? Mr.
I will be there, Mr. Mayor.
Well, great. Hope you bring your family. They can't make it, at least we'll be honored, sure gonna be honored to see you. All right. I know everybody's scattered out. Do any of the department heads have anything they want to report to the board? Does anybody on the board have a question for any of the department heads?
We just did an event over the weekend in Walls at a church, and we just had a partnership. We formed a partnership with a young lady who is the director of hospice care for people, and we will start bringing animals to the hospice locations, so that those patients can enjoy some time rubbing on a little puppy or a kitten or something.
Oh, that's great. Like Mr. Worthy takes Cuddles around.
Yes, this is something very near and dear to my heart. In July, I tried to do the same thing. We had a person come along who was the director of the women's abuse shelter. And I have reached out to them, and we tried to see if we could be a holding facility for those women's
Not Mr.
pets.
Freeman, Ms. Freeman. Have you reached out to the House of Grace?
I have not, but we certainly want to be involved in anything like that. We want to be able to be there for people who are going through whatever they're going through, and for some reason they need to seek the help of a shelter and they can't get in because they have a pet. We wanted to know if there was something that we could do, and we certainly want to be involved in senior matching and just being there for hospice patients if that's at all possible. So we're working that out. I brought with me our new lookbook, which shows what the new kennel cards look like. Everyone wants to see that.
Oh, yeah.
These are our new Shelter Love kennel cards. They're black and white. These are what people are going to see online when they're adopting. I'm not finished yet. And they're going to be able to sponsor these animals, so they can go online and they can say, I want to sponsor Otis's adoption, and they can go ahead and pay for that adoption for someone. They can also say, I want to sponsor your event that's coming up, and they could leave $20 for that. So we haven't made it there yet. I'm still loading that system with all the animals that we have, but we are making tremendous progress with that.
That's wonderful. How many dogs do you have down there right now?
Right, it jumped up to about 77.
Wow.
So we're going up. A lot of these animals, when the cold snap came, a lot of people called in, and we picked up a lot of dogs because of that. But our event, as usual, helped us to get some of our old timers out. And so we've moved the old ones out. We've got some new ones, and we're working on marketing them. And with Fonzie at our side, we feel like we have enough positivity going out there to attract people. We're getting more volunteers too. So
Good job.
thank you, y'all.
Runway, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Chief.
I was just gonna say, thanks for the park. I had my shift on Halloween night. We used to do it years ago, had a big Halloween at Station 1, and they asked if they could do it. We have a lot of new ones, and they didn't really know how overwhelmed that was gonna be. But Station 1 was packed on Halloween. All the candy that we got from the Parks Department was given out, and we finally just had to shut the door. But they did have a great event on Halloween night at Station 1 by the staff. They wanted to do it. They even, some of them kind of dressed up. They had a little dummy out front, and some of them wore, they did wear a mask around the station. But they did that, and then also today, we finished up. Last week or so, we finished up with intermediate school. Today, they got over to the Horn Lake Elementary. The only one we hadn't made is Shadow Oaks, and we're working to get that done, hopefully by next week. So I know we've been in touch with the principal but they did spend the whole day. I had some pictures of them out with the kids at the elementary school. So he's older now.
He's older. Alderman Geis.
I got a question for Vince. Is there a status update on the engineering for Pepper Chase and Nail Road?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you asking that, because I'd almost forgotten. But, you know, I guess we got a proposal, or, I sent a proposal to the mayor down, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but basically, the proposal we're recommending is, you know, we've got the intersection of Interstate Boulevard and Nail Road that we want to put signalization in. So.
I'm sorry, say what?
We're putting a signalization at the intersection of Interstate Boulevard and Nail Road. And so that project is quite different from a road connection that we're gonna do on Pepper Chase to Nail on the east end. So what we're proposing is kind of two proposals, and that's what you'll see maybe when you open that proposal, is one is for the signalization, one's for the connecting. And the reason being is because, like I said, it's different types of work. You don't want to get a contractor, the general contractor doing the road work, he's just gonna sub this guy and mark it up, you know? So we do two different contracts and get the specialist contractors where they need to be. And so, with those two proposals, we should be able to move forward with that and get it, designed, and probably look forward to maybe bidding this thing, you know, early spring. Because we don't have the funding agencies in this, it's all local money, so to speak. There's not any outside funding agencies that we have to deal with, like NDOT, you gotta get process after process, to get through it. So that's where we are, and hopefully we get that executed next board meeting.
Thank you.
Mayor Musselwhite, we were gonna get together last week, and he hadn't had a chance to look at it. And we talked last Friday, and he said he was gonna get with his staff, his engineer, and really look over it. And then he said, I'll call you, we'll get together. But I hadn't heard from him this week because, you know, he's like us, board meeting night. You have to wait after that.
Yes.
Alderman Boston.
I had a question for Stephen. Last meeting, you had mentioned the lights on Interstate Boulevard, Nail Road extending. Did you have anything we could look at tonight, or you wanna wait till the next meeting, or?
I was talking with Vince here earlier, we got a conference call with Energy coming up 27th or 22nd, 27th of this month. And, we're gonna really get down to finding out what we need to get, what we.
So you might be able to have something you can present to us at the first meeting in December?
Yeah, hopefully we'll have something.
Cool. Awesome.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Down there on Sharon Drive where the curve is, where y'all got your, what is it, pumping station?
Yes.
Is there any way to get a light put up there? People come around that curve and it's kind of dark and there's no lines. I had a lady about 80 years old call. She said, I'm about to straighten that curve out. I said, how many times you been around there? Oh, thousands. But anyway, she asked for a light, and I went through there, and it is kind of dark, and it might help y'all when you have to work at night. You got a light there.
Yeah.
Anybody else on the board have any comments? Alderman Young.
Not for him, I got a comment when you get done about something.
Well, go ahead, sir.
I have a comment. Do we do any solar lighting? Any solar signs or anything like that?
We do solar, we got, schools, on Shadow Oaks have solar, caution lights. And we do have some solar lights, portable solar lights that we put on, like stop signs and by the schools and stuff like that.
You got some at the park, where you go in the park?
Yeah.
Alderman Young.
I'd just like to introduce something to the board. We're not gonna talk about tonight, and that's fine. But it goes back to exactly what, we were talking about earlier, political signs and political work. I'm just gonna, if everybody wants to, I got 4 or 5 here, I got 5 of them right here. Y'all can just sort of, and we can discuss it at a later date, we don't have to. Basically, what I'm proposing is, just 5 of them. Basically, what I'm proposing is, that we change the code. We need to look at it. It is a very, very interesting. One of them don't have to stay.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I just gave somebody.
Okay, gotcha.
gave
That's
somebody
right.
Billy needs one or whatever, everybody
Thank
else.
you, Doctor.
This is, what you're looking at right there first is the counties, so we can do it. We can adjust our code on that. What was done out there, in my humble opinion, on Halloween night was an absolute disgrace. It was not about that. It was not about self-service. It was about the children. And that's exactly what was being done out there with self-service.
That's right.
So we don't need to, that doesn't need to happen anymore. But we just need to, I've sent it in 2 or 3, 4 times or whatever about the political signs and the adjustments I would like to have looked at. Y'all can pass these around. I think Mr. Billy already has a copy of these that I've sent, maybe. I don't know if you don't. I only got 3 of these. I thought I ran more copies, but that's the adjustments that I would like to make. Those are personal. I mean, just simply me. I mean, I'm sure other people are gonna wanna add or subtract or modify or whatever, and that's fine. That's what it's all about. But we do need to look at our code on the political issues in this city, especially on city properties. They belong to everybody. They belong to everybody. And everybody has a right to get away from this type of stuff that was offered out on that night. That was a kid's event. We shouldn't allow that. We should be bigger than that. And he should have known better. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
All right, I will bless you.
I got one thing. Years ago, when I was park director, we did it on purpose not to have any political signs in the park, period. No day, whatever. I told somebody, but I don't think it ever got in an ordinance or anything, because I didn't know too much about all that stuff. But we did that because they were having people come to Memphis, coming there wanting to rent it and have big parties and politicize the park like this is what it's for and da. Anyway, it was a big headache, and that's why I said, well, nobody. So when I was park director, we didn't have any back then, and I don't know if it was illegal or not, but I told them no. So
Having what, signs or events?
signs and events,
Signs and events.
because we had the pavilion down there, and it wasn't for politically motivating anybody, period. Because sometimes them things get kind of hot.
Well, they just saw it in, what was it, California? They had pro-Israel, anti-Israel groups and some old Israeli, 69, just waving the flag. The guy came up and hit him, hit the bullhorn, and he died.
I wonder what side that was.
Excuse me.
He's Jewish.
Yeah, the one
But
that got
they
you.
pushed his head on the curb.
Bless you.
While Mayor's taking a break, I do want to say.
Say hi to Jack.
Really. I know holiday season is approaching. We have not gotten to Thanksgiving, but my school, in conjunction with Parks and Recreation, we're having a food drive. So we're collecting items for citizens of Horn Lake. Also, Christmas time will be here before we know it. We're also collecting toys or asking for sponsors for families for Christmas as well, just like last year. So if the Lord puts it on your heart to help sponsor somebody, just let me know.
All right.
I wasn't quite done with it, which is fine. It's no big deal. When you're looking at this ordinance on the park, I'm also would like to just plant the seed that Olive Branch, South Haven, everybody has a fee to use their facilities. We should consider the same thing. I don't know what that number is. I don't know what that number's gonna be. I just think as a board, we need to look at that to support the park. And I also believe there should be a fee in there that's a deposit that will be returned when they're done to make sure they clean that stuff up.
Alderman Bostic was next.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody this Saturday from 10 to 12 at Latimer Park, be Coach for Kids. And it's supposed to be a little chilly like it normally is, so everybody come out and, know any kids in the neighborhood that need a coat. Got a lot of good sponsors with American Fireworks and many more that's gonna be sponsoring this. They've been doing it for years, so 10 to 12 Saturday morning at the park, Coach for Kids.
It was cold. Alderman Bledsoe.
We have a price we're supposed to charge for that already.
But we need to see that. We need to get all that in there to look at.
You got it?
He does, yeah.
150, okay. We did that a long time ago. We had a bunch of weddings down there. And I said, we are losing money.
You're losing
So
money.
we
Well, on
started
anything,
charging.
yeah.
So we did good. So I don't want to bust nobody, but 150 won't hurt nobody if you want to have a good wedding.
That's right.
Yeah. If there's no other business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Did I say that right?
Who made the motion?
His guy here.
Alderman Dupree made the motion, second by Alderman Bledsoe. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein,
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe, Alderman Guy,
Aye.
Alderman Boston,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Dupree,
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Vote 7 in favor, none opposed. Ladies and
Now I'm
gentlemen,
gonna eat.
this honorable board is adjourned.
Man, we need to do something about these chairs. These things hurt my back. Man, they're hard as a brick.
I need, Mr. Billy's contract.
Miss Johnson jumped on me. Said these chairs, they come. Hey, they ain't no pads.